OCO, y'all. Hey, do me a favor, everybody in the chat. If y'all can do me a favor and let me know if you can hear me loud and clear. I don't want no crap now. I want to make sure everything is loud and clear. Are we good to go? Are we loud and clear? Drop them loud and clears in the chat if you can hear me. OCO, thank you all for joining. I appreciate that. We loud and clear. What up, Blue Dreamer? All right, good. Perfect. Yeah. What up, Levante? Yeah, you know what time it is tonight, right? Y'all ready? I gotta get rid of the villain laugh. Like, we just won the championship. This is the perfect time to get hyped. Like, y'all can spam it. Y'all might as well start spamming the chat right now. Like, matter of fact, y'all should be spamming the chat right now all the way until the stream end. This is what this is about. I'm talking about tear that chat up. Oh yeah, we in here today. The brothers are ready too. Make sure y'all do me a favor and take your shoes off at the door by clicking that like button for me. Be sure to hit that like button. We got to spam that like button up. Make sure everybody else get notified. It's on fire tonight. I don't know how long it's going to be. We just going to go with it. Get comfortable. Yeah, that's right, Blue Dreamer. Get comfortable. Hem Gambino, thank you. I appreciate that. 15 months in a row. Hold on. Let me throw the echo on. I appreciate that. Thank you, Gambino. What up, James? Thank you for becoming a member, James. Keith, thank you for becoming a member. Niji Warrior for the 10 gifted. I appreciate that, Niji Warrior. Stephanie, thank you for becoming a member. And Christopher, thank you for being a member for 4 months in a row. He said, OCO, brother. Kataba Cam, thank you for becoming a member, brother. I appreciate that. All right, let's turn up. Yeah, you can keep going. What up, Waco, Texas? Yeah, let me know where y'all at tonight. Let me know. We can do these shout outs. We got a few more minutes here. Indianapolis in the building, Watts, Cali in the building, Cleveland, Ohio in the building, Columbus, Ohio in the building. What up, Choctaw, Montana? Los Angeles, Cali, what up, LA? Long Island in the building, Richmond, VA in the building. Etowah River, Georgia in the building. Duval is in the building. What up, Florida? Oklahoma City in the building. I see you. What up, Farmsville, Texas? Lenape in the house. Dallas, Texas. Gary, Indiana, New Orleans. What's up? Atlantis, I like that. I like that. What up, Florida? San Antonio, what's up? Louisiana in the building. Indiana in the building. Hey, Indiana in here heavy. Look at Indiana. I see y'all. Y'all up in here. Y'all not playing. Columbia, South Carolina. What up, South Kakalaki? Greensville, South Carolina. I think that said Arizona. That went a little quick. That's okay. We gonna see it. Spam it again if I missed it. Flint, Michigan. What up? What up, Flint? Hope y'all doing well out there too, man. Fort Worth, Texas, what up? South Central, hey. Philly, what up, Philly? Louisville, Kentucky. I appreciate that. Aboriginal Niji been a member for 13 months in a row. Temple been a member for 12 months in a row. From Dane County, what up, Dane County? What up, Florida? Mooresville, North Carolina. Hash Brown Niji been a member for 12 months in a row. She said, oh, he said Brooklyn. Brooklyn in the building. What up, Brooklyn, New York? Denver, Colorado in the building. Tampa, Florida. Charlotte, North Carolina. Jamal, thank you for becoming a member. I appreciate that. Chi-Town in the building. What up, Chi-Town? What up, Chicago? Memphis 10 in the building. St. Petersburg, Florida. Hold up, what that say? Let me go up real quick. That said Denver, Colorado. Rhode Island. Hartford, Connecticut. Raleigh, North Carolina. Bridgeport, Connecticut. Atlanta, Georgia. BX in the building. What up, Bronx? Oh yeah, it's up. Y'all already know what time it is. It's up. West Palm Beach, Florida. What y'all temperature looking like out there? Florida probably hot, scorching like how we are out here in Texas, huh? Richmond, VA. What up, VA? Shit out to DC. What up, Maryland? Mobile, Alabama in the building. Kevin Bailey been a member for 10 months in a row. What up, Kevin? All right, now 1 minute. Y'all ready? Let's speed things up real quick. Let me speed things up real quick.
OCO, freethinkers. You're now tuned into the realest historian on the planet.
This brother, he is raising some serious questions.
He's here to make you think.
What I'm trying to do is get our people to understand that we have been lied to all the way around.
Y'all can keep
about
spamming the chat.
Can you name any other group of people, no matter their
San
skin
Francisco,
complexion,
what up?
that are being labeled primarily as the name of two continents? Not two countries, two continents. That is called a misnomer, which is the act of applying a wrong name to some person.
Thank you, Aboriginal
The
Warriors,
best
for the
teacher you
cash
wished
app.
you
I
had in
appreciate
school.
that.
Have your pens and paper handy and get ready to take notes.
I want y'all to check out somebody named Dane Calloway.
Dane Calloway?
Look into Dane Calloway. He has a lot of information about how this whole shit was told in reverse. Okay? Where they say, oh, we came from Africa over here. No, a lot of us was already here.
And information that was put together by a man by the name of Dane Calloway, who is also questioning the slave trade. And he's done some remarkable videos on the history of the slave trade in the United States. And he's gone back down the food chain and gone back down the line, and he's realized that a lot of the so-called African Americans in the United States are not African at all. They're actually Native Americans, because the slave trade did not happen the way we were told that it happened.
It's Dane Calloway.
Go and watch this man's channel, man. This dude is phenomenal.
I'm not saying African American because they're not African American. They're the Aboriginals because they were the true Native Americans.
Set it on fire.
They're the copper colored race. Look up Dane Calloway and watch his fucking shows. That man, Dane Calloway on YouTube. Oh my God.
Patrice, thank you for
he is
becoming a
fucking
member.
beyond brilliant. The research he does.
What up, Indigenous Minds?
He goes way deep
South
into this
Bend,
shit.
Indiana.
Relax and take notes.
It's Dane Calloway on I'm Just Here to Make You Think Radio.
Produced by Dane Calloway and Tanisha Calloway. Watch this brand new documentary, Mother Rosa, right now at DaneMakeYouThink.com.
All right, here we go.
Set it on fire. Fire.
Here we go.
Fire.
Y'all brothers' mics are live, by the way. Y'all live right now. Thank you all for tuning in. I appreciate that. Yeah. Yeah, man. Yeah, man.
Turn up. Turn up. Turn up. Turn up.
It's up.
It's go time, Slim.
Set it on fire. 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 Fire.
Matter of fact, okay, come on. Turn up real quick.
Emojis, you flat in the chat. Turn up. 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 Keep spamming emojis.
Go ahead, flood the chat. Flood the chat. Both of them here. They right here. Come on. Come on, let's get it.
Emojis, you flat in the chat. Turn up. 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 Keep spamming emojis, you flat in the chat.
All right. Y'all ready? Shout out to the brothers. We have the legendary Top Cats in the building. We got Rod Hayes in the building. That's right now, ladies and gentlemen. Brothers, how y'all feeling?
Peace. Turn it one time.
Peace to the brothers. What's going on, Dane? You know, this is a long-awaited phenomenon right here.
Yeah, we about to make history tonight. Y'all see the title?
Gathering of the Masters. Oh yeah, y'all heard them loud and clear, right? But let's make sure, cause I don't want to start kicking this thing off and y'all don't hit. Y'all heard both of the brothers, right? Y'all, I know y'all can hear me, but could y'all hear them? Let's make sure we good. Was that loud and clear? Let me know. Drop some loud and clears in the chat. Uh-oh. I'm gonna enjoy this, and I hope y'all do too. A lot of things are gonna be said tonight, but I'm gonna start it off like this. The gathering of the masters. The reason why I chose this is because we are I would consider us the new age of the master teachers. There's a lot of information that we have put out so far. And regardless, you know, we do it from our perspective. So it's different perspectives, but it's all for the same goal, for the same cause. Some people may not understand that, you know, they get jealous of us three per se, you know, in combination or individual order. We can see why, because we putting in the work and they not. Even older, what people would call master teachers, will get upset about the information that we provide, but it's all about elevating our people. It's all about making them aware. It's about bringing that awareness amongst our people so they can finally know what happened to our people instead of hearing it from complete strangers and they won't ever be able to heal. We need our people to heal in the spiritual sense now, so they can feel better with knowing who they are by way of genealogy. You know, we promote genealogy 24/7, and also connecting their individual family stories with what truly happened here. That way we could progress into moving in that direction to get things done. One of those things that needed to get done was for us to collaborate. I did a live stream. It was a live or two ago, and I asked y'all, hey, who do y'all want to see me collab with? I mean, ever since 2021, y'all was screaming, Rod Hayes, the brother's here now. Me and Top Cats collab as soon as I saw Top Cats. Real recognized real. All of us doing our thing individually. Foot is super glued to the gas pedal. I hope y'all happy about this. Let's go, fellas. I'm gonna start it off with a question, fellas. I'm gonna go around. Rod, let me get your take, Rod, on this right here. As far as the common goal, what would you consider that being?
The restoration of our birthright, period. The analysis to the birthright ties us to the land. The disassociation with the false narrative separates us from the land. When you know you from the land and that you was born organic to the land, that means that your bloodline spring from the earth like a tree on the land that you inhabit. If you get your birthright back, poverty is obsolete. So we want our birthright back. Restoring our birthright gives us the right to enforce the great law. And enforcing the great law, we start then begin to unify all of the clans under that one ideology of the great law. We all know what it is, all of the clans, but we got different ways of saying it. Even the sub-clans that broke off into religious groups, they all got their way of saying it. The golden rule, do unto others. What goes around comes around. You reap what you sow. But the great law cannot be negated. It come a time where the people with the birthright have to execute their ancestral rights to restore balance back to the people of Earth. This is what we doing. So Dane doing the historical part, right? I'm doing the metaphysical decoding of all of the stuff that happened. And Topcats is quoting all of the laws that was passed while they was doing all of the stuff that Dane historical research confirms and my metaphysical research confirms. So now we got a cross-reference. This is what you call a fatherland flip. Now, here go the irony, Dane. While we doing this, right, the Empress on her channel calling the matriarchs together. So all y'all watching, when y'all get done watching us over here, go over to the Empress channel and get those numbers up, because we trying to get this message to as many of the tribes people as possible to have as many of them involved in reclaiming our birthright as possible. And part of it is the chiefs that's doing the work, right? I'm called a long-faced chief from the Bird Clan, an Algonquin, by physical description. Dane is what you call a round-faced chief. One of the ones they would have called him Sonny Boy or Sonny Lee. All of those is telling you what his clan ranking is that the family ascribed to him. So when they send him out, the people know how to analyze him to determine if he's one of the chiefs that's coming to get our birthright restored. And then they watch for his works. His work speaks for itself. The same with Top Cat. Same with me. They said that these country boys wasn't gonna never outthink them slickers. So what happened? Our parents moved us to the city so that we can get the city slickers' slickness out the way so that we can apply this country wisdom to it to straighten it all out.
All right, hold up. I'm gonna ask Topcats that same question. Hold up, is my mic on? Okay, it is on. Same question, Topcats. It's like, where do you see that common goal? What's your take on that common goal?
When we look at the common goal, you know, especially in this age right now, I mean, it's real clear. Because we was to go back 5-10 years ago, you know, the world didn't look like this. And right now, we dealing with a great awakening right now of masses of people, you know, even people that's getting the wrong type of information out there, you know what I mean? It's still something inside of them that waking everybody up. That common goal is going to be some people who was given the eyes to see, the ears to hear, and that country wisdom and that ancient wisdom, that confirmation from the ancestors that's going to send us out here to the people, you know what I mean, with the message of the ancestors to bring it all together, because it's some people out there who haven't heard us three speak yet, but you know, they're on a journey looking for this type of information, and you know, one day we'll cross paths, you know. But right now, what we on the front line doing, you know, we're here to clean up a lot of the mess. It was, I mean, we come back in this time for a reason. I feel like because all of us, you know, old enough to have came here, you know, at least 10 years ago, at least 15 years ago, you know, and be out here with a message. But for us to be collectively here at the same time, while the Great Awakening is happening, because it was teachers and it was people who came before us, but for some reason we was called to come back in this time, you dig? So I feel like and it ain't even no pressure on our shoulders, you know what I mean? And it also ain't no giants for us to really stand on, not coming from this field right here. So like the title say, we have developed and became, you know, that representation of the ancestors here in the most crucial time that, you know, that it was needed when the Great Awakening started to happen. You feel me? So man, I feel like that common ground and that purpose that's out there is being served right now, man. And tonight again, this is confirmation. You feel me?
Absolutely, and I'm thankful that it happened. Like-minded brothers. So y'all don't see this a lot. Like, if you really think about it, you don't get a chance to see this a lot. What do we see? We see our people attacking each other, killing each other. There's a reason for that. There's multiple reasons for that, but the majority of it has to deal with the fact that they know who we are. So, and what I mean by they is mainly foreigners. They want us to be separate. They don't want us to come together and unify. For this reason, because they see how powerful we are individually, and even more powerful when we come together. I say on that note, real quick, Talkcast, I'm gonna come to you on this one. What's your take on the American Indian indigenous, what I want to call it, paradigm? Why is that so important?
Man, it's so important because it's the message that we got from home. If people wanted to be honest, then we'll come out and say that these lives that they're living is a life that somebody else gave to them. It's a paradigm that was created that was different than what came out of the house. Even if somebody grew up, even if they grew up in, let's say, any one of these other doctrines, I just say that instead of putting a name on it so nobody feels no type of way. But even if they came up out of these, a lot of people don't understand that these are doctrines. And so, to give a small example, we'll come back in the 1920s, what they call the Harlem Renaissance. In this era, the Moorish Science Temple, the Hebrew Israelites was popping, Marcus Garvey, the UNIA, which he came pushing a message of people, the Hebrews here, and he also came with the Back to Africa joint. So, and then you had Rabbi Matthew Josiah Ford, who was in his organization in UNIA, and they come with the Commandment Keepers. The Hebrew Israelites was birthed out of this movement. A lot of people don't know they was funded by white people though. But we'll move over that. So you had the Moorish Science Temple as well. You had the African Brotherhood with brother that came from the islands. And to note this here too, all of those individuals I just named, all of those are coming from the islands.
St. Kitts.
They all came here with identities for us. You feel me? And they not even from here. So they came here with identities, and a lot of these identities has turned into, a lot of those thought processes has turned into doctrines today that our people are living their life in. And that's not to say some of these people are not bloodline tied to some of these things somewhere in the past, but for the majority of us here, those things did not associate with us, and this was the reason why they came telling us this is your identity. Fast forward, but at the house, we getting a different message, and that have convoluted and disconnected a lot of people from their roots. And I feel like it's super important now because right now it's so many people, man. I done had people cry and everything, man, and I call it tears of joy because they didn't catch it while their ancestors was here. When their grandparents was here and they was telling them these things, and then to look back and go through whatever denominations or these groups they came through, and to come out now and say, man, I can actually be me now. I can actually stand, you know, and you know, they taking on the responsibility to go pick up where the family left out and go back and start rebuilding. So I feel like right now it's one of the greatest times to be alive, because people are actually living in their truth. People are not asking questions anymore. Who am I? That was the greatest question here. I seen people want flags. I seen them, you know, that they
Right.
walked around and probably recognized themselves as a slave. You know, all of these things that were brought to them, and all they had to do was hear somebody say, hey, what did your family tell you? Or go talk to your family. And when they returned, that was it. I've never seen nobody go back after they had that conversation, or they remember what was told to them in the house. And so it's a great time to be alive right now. You know,
It's up.
Now, the brothers can't hear the effects, y'all, okay? But y'all know what I'm doing. I want to get your take on that, Brother Rod. That right after, like, oh my God, man, I'm excited. I'm excited. This is needed. This is needed. Now, so what's your take on that, to piggyback off of what Top Cat said? Rod, you there, right?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you clear.
Okay, so the question was about the current realization of the identity of who we are as being original to over here, right?
Correct.
And the purpose of that is because we have the first right to claim of the lands that they call Turtle Island.
Now, not to cut you off, brother. Now, hit them with why that's so important, though. That right there, so they can know. They got to know this.
That's where I'm going with this, Dane.
Let's get it.
Because okay, so now they paper genocided us. They misclassified us. They gave us an erroneous history to divorce us from the land. This is the George Washington challenge. This was the 200 years blood conjure Crispus Attucks to keep us from violating the blood ritual that they did in the lodges after the American so-called Revolution. Remember, the Boston Tea Party was about a 2% tax increase on a beverage. But now we getting taxed every which way but loose, but ain't nobody protesting. We getting taxed at the register, at the car dealer. We buy our house and we still paying taxes on it. We want to drive, we got to go pay taxes in the form of driver's license and license plates and registrations. And ain't none of these people that's demanding this from us supposed to even be here.
Relax and take notes.
We are in a police state, and the only way out is to acknowledge our birthright as to who we are and realize what was happening with the paper genocide. Because now, after 200 years, we know the difference between us and the Negropeans that masqueraded as us, that signed all of them erroneous treaties pretending to be us, but they didn't even have none of the names of none of the chiefs. No treaty is named. There is no treaty with Chief Standing Wolf as the signature on the treaty. No signature of the treaty of Chief Stormcloud. That's not on none of the treaties. All of the names are Western names, what we call English names, European names. These are not our people making these agreements, but they making these agreements at our expense. When you go into their judicial system, they label all of the 9 treaty tribes as belligerents and outlaw tribes in they legal documentation. They called us perpetual enemies to the state. This is the justification for COINTELPRO. To get rid of the leaders, the little young and upcoming chiefs, before they realize that they have a right to oust these imposters from the land by blood right, by recognizing who they are. They told us that our chiefs was gang leaders. They ain't never tell us that gang mean tribe. And very few of us had the audacity to go look it up and find out that a gang was just another way of saying tribe, but you got to give it a negative connotation. So when you see these vice lords, these GDs, they tribing up and they establishing their territorial boundaries and they calling it gang war. But the war part was being instigated under the COINTELPRO operations by putting plants in that sick the vice lords on the GDs and the plant in the GDs that sick the GDs on the vice lords. So now it looked like some ignorant buffoons is out in the street blatantly killing each other with no direction, aim, or purpose, but there's an unseen hand at work. They have it documented, they infiltration tactics, techniques, they federal informant program, they government snitch program. They got the whole video of the one that looked like us explaining how the FBI was having them infiltrate everything we did.
Right.
So they going all out of their way to make sure that we never realize that we have a autonomous sovereign right to serve notice and shut their system down. This is why in their Declaration of Independence, they say when the government go rogue, you call on the spirits of the earth. The spirits of the earth is going to manifest as tribal chiefs. This the part they ain't telling you. When you call on the spirits of the earth, they're going to be the tribal chiefs that's going to come back. It's going to take a couple generations of eyes on the problem before we produce an offspring, because the prayers of the nation, that's the womb of the mother. So we going to produce an offspring, a group of offspring going to come about that with the solutions to the problem that the last 2-3 generations was looking at.
It's go time, Slim.
So this going to tie all of them organizations together, and somebody gonna have to explain how, even though it looked like they was misleading us, some of them was giving us codes. Like the reason Marcus Garvey came with the Back to Africa is because they had already took some of us to Africa, and he wants you to be aware. But he can't tell you because of the George Washington Challenge and the Masonic oaths that's tied to it, and he was a Prince Hall Freemason. So he can't come directly out and tell us, but he could spell it out in a series of codes that any other chiefs that develop itself to a certain level will clearly be able to see what's going on. And then you would be able to see that at the end of the day, it wasn't the paleface that brought him down. It was some people that looked like us. And the same thing with Noble Drew Ali. The police couldn't have never got to him to abuse him in their system if his buff tees didn't leave him hanging. Because back then, the police wasn't like they is now. They wasn't paramilitary troops. They was some old goofies walking around with a badge enforcing the policy of a corporation. They had to deceive the people with the appearance of legitimacy by wearing uniforms. They call it a uniform system. So the importance of us and the re-emergence of the knowledge of self is what's telling us we from this land. And that knowledge of self is going to give us a system of activity tied to raising the matriarchy in order to get the tribal mother's position back in place, because they got the first right of claim to the land. When we do that, the people who wrote the paperwork up got to give the foundational documents to the rightful heir that they've been watching since birth. So they know who we all are.
They do. They do.
So one of us on the fatherland, the ruler gods, have to go out and put it in the public domain using the oral tradition of the tribes. How do I know this? Because it's in the UNDRIP, the United Nations Indigenous Rights Act. It tells us that if we go back to our oral tradition and we follow our tribal ways, they gave us everything back in both documents. They gave it back, but we have to follow the oral tradition of our people. or else we'll be using a system, and your enemy not gonna never give you a system to free you from him. So you have to use your own system. Ours was the oral tradition of reclaiming everything in the public domain. So the people watching it, they don't know what they watching, but it's bigger than it seemed to be. It's just that when the realization set in, that's when the hammer dropped. So I've been giving instructions to Empress Redbird about following the matriarchal order, because when I closed all their contracts from their July the 4th expiration date in 2019, I did a public notice on the 6th. 13 days later, they give her on the 19th the documents that serves as their foundational document to all of the deeds to the land. Once they did that, that's giving us all of the land back. All we have to do is make the clansmen wear now, because the tribal tradition is to make as many clans people informed of the actions of the tribal leadership as is taking place as possible while it's taking place. So we're showing you us reclaiming everything in the public domain without, we not asking for them, we doing it because everything we do is time-stamped in archivable format that's viable for all public and legal notices. So every time we come out like this right here, this is what you call Three Kings Talking. It's an old Southern Louisiana conjure. You got Three Kings Talking precedes the Three Kings Walking, which is the reverse conjure to the three ships that came over here. That was all sorcery. The Santa, the Nina, and the Pinta, the Nina, and the Santa Maria, right? But the Mayflower was the Plymouth, and Malcolm said we didn't land on Plymouth Rock. Plymouth Rock landed on us, where they left a rock to commemorate where they accused us in the international courts of crashing our landmass into their ship to tie us up in the salvage right in order for them to institute an eminent domain.
Yeah,
eminent.
No, you're right. They tried to make it seem like it was our fault, and they took advantage of that.
Right. So under eminent domain, they instituted what's called the squatters' rights.
Yeah.
And the salvage right is what the squatter right fall under. And the salvage right is they claim that our landmass crashed into their ship. They classifying our landmass under the jurisdiction of admiralty, which makes anybody who walked the land civilly dead. So that each one of us become a vessel lost at sea, and every time they capture one of us and log us in their system, they getting paid for a salvage redemption of a civilly dead individual that they was able to capture him as a straw man.
Made him property.
Yeah. But now, when we recognize who we are, we say, wait a minute. We no longer accept the Admiralty jurisdiction because your jurisdiction expired July the 4th, 2019. We know it expired because the Republican debate had no American flags, and it had a navy blue background, which means that now we was free at sea to reclaim ourselves from the salvage right. But none of the chiefs knew what to do. I'm not finna sit around and wait the whole 72 hours. I'll wait 48 hours. Then I did what we supposed to do. One of the chiefs have to put it in the public domain that we canceled a contract for fraud and for non-performance. The fraud is that they never honored the contract. They can't find the treaty they ever honored in its totality. But we've lived up to treaties that we didn't even agree to. So now, in order to get the land back from the Admiralty jurisdiction, us as the tribal leadership have to alert the people that we need to reassert our sovereignty and exercise our right to restore the tribal mothers, which is in colonial law, it's called the reestablishing of the Longhouse. The longhouse is where the tribal mothers would meet in order to solve the problems with people across the land. And then they would issue the orders to either the red house for law enforcement or to the blue house for leadership and direction. And now we got that all confused, and then it turned it into gang colors and villainized it by calling it gangs.
But flashing in your face and flashing lights. Police officers.
Yep. The red light and the blue light. That's the symbol in Masonry. That's the Boaz and Joaquin, the twin pillars, severity and mercy. Good cop, bad cop. They come in like that every time.
Blue pill,
they telling
red
us
pill.
what they doing.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. They telling us what they doing every time, but we don't know their language because they talking in code in our face behind our back.
All the time.
So this is why it's important for us to get back to reading our culture, because our culture is going to tell us everything we know to enforce the great law, and we just have to know how to read nature, because we're going to get the information from the storms that come, from the earthquakes, from the UV rays, from the human resonance. We steady getting bombarded with nature telling us how to reclaim everything. But a lot of us have been so indoctrinated with this Stockholm syndrome, abused spouse syndrome of the government, where they keep slapping us upside the head so much that we're scared to even try to redeem ourselves.
People do that a lot.
All we got to do is know that we got the right to be here by birthright. We organic to the land, spring from the Mississippi clay dirt, the same as the tree spring from the field.
Set it on fire, fire.
We emerged naturally from this land.
That's right.
I tell them we've been here so long, Dane, we had to build here in order for it to exist when we got here.
That's absolutely correct.
There wasn't no here before we got here. We had to make it what it is in order for us to have a claim of right. And this was all done by our great mothers that preceded us. In antiquity, we called them the gods of the earth, the divine feminines, the 12 daughters of Isis. Isis making number 13, the queen mother, the mother of the king, right? And she give the king the commission. That means she issues his birthright. Go and redeem the family. So the son go out as the family redeemer. This is your Horus story in Egypt. Horus is the heir to the throne. His father's been usurped by his wicked uncle. So in order for him to become the king, the son who becomes as the father, he has to overthrow his evil uncle. This goes back to the Anunnaki story. Enlil overthrew Enki, and both of them was arguing and bickering in spite of Anu, the great father, who warned them that you have to follow the rules of the earth while you on earth, and they did their own thing. Now we all suffering for it. It's the same story as just reading the energy. Take the names out and look at it as an energy, and you will see that it's a blueprint for something. The restoration of a birthright. Because that's where Horus came to get his birthright back from his undeserving uncle who stole it. It's the same with Jacob and Esau, right? So when they telling us these stories, they telling it to us, but they telling us the whole time the person that's the rightful heir don't got the rightful possession. They the rightful heir, but they don't have the possession. The usurper, the Jacob, has got the possession, but they not the rightful heir. It's up to Esau to wake up from his slumber, realize who he is, and go out and take his shit back from his brother. Excuse my language.
But that's exactly what we got to do.
That's our job.
That's it.
That's the accumulation of our work, because we can't all fight this war from the same direction. We all got to do our part. And then when we get here, Dane, we come together and we tell the story together in front of the people so they'll see that we telling the truth. We sincere with this. And we just trying to get what's rightfully ours. We ain't coming out here to hurt nobody. We just coming out here to tell the truth because we've been lied to.
But of course they're going to make it seem like we're trying to, Yeah, I mean, I'm glad y'all spamming up the 13% in the chat. I'm glad y'all spamming up that 13. Make sure y'all spam up these brothers too. Y'all could get some BCUs in there. Definitely get some BCUs in there. Go ahead, put it in there. And speaking of that BCU, we talk about Big Chief University. That's what that stands for. I want to get your take on that, Topcast, right there, like basically piggyback off of what he was just saying.
My bad. I had to go get some water. I ain't catch the end. My bad. I had to give me a water. But yeah. We'll break it down. Throw me an alley real quick.
We're talking about how being aware of our birthright and our claim put us in the position to bring our pieces together for the public to be the judge. It's up to them now to make up the decision if they're ready to receive their birthright, because we did the work to prove it.
Now that's a fact. So when we looking at that, it's not by coincidence everything else is falling down, is losing value. It's not by coincidence. So yeah, we doing a great job at what we doing, putting our energy and our message out there in the universe, but the things that we don't see on another realm is the ancestors are actually doing their part. So this is a time that we can tell that they've been waiting on this well, because when we look around, everything is losing its value. Pan-Africanism not the big bad wolf on the block no more. Kemetic science not the big bad wolf on the block no more. Moorish science not the big bad wolf on. None of these things. The Hebrews, they lose
Christianity too.
Christianity, all of the religions, all the Abrahamic faiths. No knock to them, but in this day and time,
no, I'm gonna give them a knock, because they are pedophile cults, pedophile priests masquerading as righteous people that's selling the people snake oil to poison them.
Turn up one time, y'all heard them.
I don't got no respect for none of them religions. I only got respect for the good men that was deceived by him and still managed to do good.
Right on. So yeah, all of these things are falling, and they're not falling to change hands to a different puppet master or a different person that's there to suck your energy or use your energy to get whatever they trying to pass through the people. You feel me? Because they need our energy to put this shit in the universe to even crank the car. You feel me? So, but right now we seen all these things fall. For a long time, black had our people in the headlock. All of these things don't hold any value anymore.
Set it on fire.
There's still some people out there who kicking it, but I mean, they so easy to overpower, and it's not like we're putting anything into the people. What we're doing is waking the people up to see that you are this God that you seek if you enter into these religions. You are the savior or the hero in your story. You feel me? And it's making them look at life different. It's making them look at their family different. It's making them look at today different when they get up. So these reparation movements and all of these things that people want you to go find a slave in your family, and then you go do the research and ain't nobody a slave. Y'all were laying on it. Y'all were prominent people, towns named after you. Birthright is you, and I ain't never seen nobody more prouder once they unlock these mysteries. And these, I done seen a 70-year-old man have a change of heart. You feel me? And these people, once they see it, they can't do nothing but drop a tear, but at the same time, they grateful because in their lifetime, they was able to see it happen. So now I think this is the most positive thing for the people, because it's no cut on it. It's straight from the soul. And what I always like to tell people, no matter what they caught from you or picked up, once they open the door, they still have to do the work. That's what I like about this here, because you're still gonna have to be responsible of creating your own reality. You still have to do the work. This is something that you can't copy off the next man's paper unless y'all got the same mother and father. If y'all don't have the same, I don't care if you have the same mother, if you don't have the same father, you can't copy off the next person's paper on yours. And that's what's so beautiful about this here, because the ancestors, they gonna get that work out of you. You gonna be sincere. You gonna be sincere, homie. You gonna because you still have to do the work, and everyone is on this journey. So it is not a sense of a master teacher of you believe everything coming out my mouth, because I can't tell you your story. Dane can't tell you your story. Can't tell you your story. You have to go back and do the work on that, and we have to go back and do it on that. So everyone is held accountable in this. And it's beautiful, because to me, all it's doing is growing soldiers. You know, it's growing warriors.
It's go time, Slim.
Getting equipped. Everyone got the strap on them when we come out. And man, it ain't nothing more powerful or beautiful than that. And then at the same time, for us, the land, people are finding out they own so much land. Or coming up as a child, like we used to have to go to the country all the time. When my aunt and my mom and them grew up, they was first generation in the city. My grandma and them come from the country. They was born in the country, and then they moved here for to get the family to get jobs or whatever. The wells or something like that ran dry. Where they was at in the country, and the economics went as powerful as they were, because we were living out the land and self-sufficient back then. But once people got to the city, like I'm second generation, so all my words may not still be right. You feel me? But what it showed us, though, we going back and we remember this time, because we grew up in the city and we looking at that land in the country like, man, ain't going out there, there's mosquitoes out there, it's boring out there, and now we're seeing the value in it. You know, this land been in our family since 1836. We seeing the value and how it kept the family alive, and
that's right.
And they were in a better position than we are. I don't care how much
man.
You get to appreciate the small things in life. You want that peace and quiet. We think it's boring because it's quiet out here, but you can look at the moon and you can see the stars and the moon clear here. Not so much in the city. You got a neighbor next door. You feel me? All of these type of things. And so as we get older, you know what I'm saying, I'm starting to see a lot of people, once they reconnect to that, they not just reconnecting to it through their ancestors, but they reconnecting to the soil. You feel me? They're claiming their land. This is our land, and they finding the value in it. We have cemeteries, family cemeteries. In Texas, we have 3 historical markers on our cemeteries here, on 3 of our cemeteries here. Family cemetery, where I got to go get buried at. And, you can walk through there, and that's your history books right there. I always tell people, man, the thing we talking about, you can't find it in the book. And that's what's so beautiful about it. So we got to teach us as what came before. That's what put us on a whole different level. You know what I'm saying? Because we got so much ancestor back, and we have so much of the spiritual realm backing us. And it's like they've been waiting on this day, because they get to come out and show forth, and they get to show unity. Because if we gather together, guess where they at?
Hold up.
You are watching a master at work.
You know what that just reminded me of? That tree, the tree of life, and I know how deep that can get, but I'm gonna let Rod, the brother Rod, talk about that. The trees, when there was so many of it at first, the reason why they kept wanting to chop it down, like when Topcats was just speaking about nature, that tree of life just came into my mind, and that visual just hit me, and it made me think about. Talk about that walking on tree, that, you know what I'm talking about? Like, it was so many.
Look,
okay, go ahead.
Listen, you used to be able to walk from the southern tip of Florida all the way to Louisiana in the treetops.
Talk to them.
They chopped down all these trees, and they glorified it as lumberjack stories to tell you that they chopped your trees down. We had people who lived in the top of the trees. They had huts built up there. They used to call them skywalkers or treetop walkers, right? This is how you end up with the treetop high rules and your Skywalker crypt. This is your crooked man walking across the land. When they talk about skinwalkers, this is what the truth about the skinwalker is. We wore animal pelts to be in stealth mode at war with the enemies. We walked around with the skins of wolves, with the skins of cougars, with the skins of bears, with the skins of bison. When Chief Pontiac fought on Belle Isle at Fort Detroit, they said that they were sacked from the back by 7-foot tall wolves walking on 2 feet. And that's the only reason why he was able to defeat them at the Battle of the Bloody Run.
It's up.
But them was a Mississippian tribe that wear wolf pelts in war. The ones that wear the black wolf pelt are the stealth priests, and the ones that wear the colors, the gray wolf, the white wolf, those are the ceremonial priests that wear it in the open so the other tribes know what they coming with at wartime.
Shout out to the Wolf Clan.
So then they had the ones who wore the panther pelt, well, they became known over the time as Black Panthers. It originated out of Mississippi, went into World War II as the Black Panther Battalion fighting under General Patton, came back and established the Black Panther political party, which gave rise to the California Black Panther Party for Self-Defense. This is why Geronimo Pratt was sent all over the land to teach them self-defense from a military standpoint, because we was living in a police state and they was aware of it, but we ain't aware of it today as they were in the 60s, because they was studying international law and trying to reassert their jurisdictional supremacy. The problem was everybody kept petitioning the enemy to recognize them when they had a superior claim, that the enemy have to acknowledge their presence when they follow the oral tradition and bring the clans together without distinction for bloodline or tribal distinction. We got to come together regardless, we got the same enemy. But the first we got to get rid of the ones that look like us, that ain't us. They the ones been running the dirty coke behind the scenes the whole time.
Yeah, but see, I hope y'all heard that.
So they've been putting pale faces to black institutions. This is where your brown paper bag and the secret society test come from. Because if you wasn't in allegiance with them, then you was the dark copper colored, nappy head, rebellious outlaw tribe. You can't do business with them. So they blocked the front doors with the pale faces so that we know wherever we seen the pale faces, them darkies in the background is holding it down as the black hand. But then they come around us talking about kill Whitey all the time, this Negro Whitey. Bop the man. The man looked like one of us. I don't know where they went, Dane. They was in this, their main headquarters was in Switzerland. They lived in an underground network of tunnels in the Swiss Alps. And ever since 2022, the Interpol and the Earth Alliance was moving them out of there. I don't know where they took them. They ain't there no more. Because now they showing you the whole tunnel network.
They are now, yeah, on TV. They are showing people the tunnel.
Tunnels. They saying that, yeah, it's a whole network. It's a whole city. This is your unseen hand that was ruling the world. This is why Switzerland remained neutral. That's when they infiltrated. Look who their last war was with. It was with the French. The reason why that's important is because that's when the Black Hand moved into Switzerland and began to consolidate their financial power through the central banking system over the world. It's all there.
This is what the problem we have right now with those people right there. Well, not just them, but they're part of the problem as well.
Right. So when you go back and you look up Moorish Zionist Jews, they're the ones that was over here. They lived in upstate New Jersey and upstate New York in gated communities. They didn't associate with us unless it was to keep us from recognizing that they was the ones picking the president.
And I want to throw this here on there too. And those people, they were mostly coming from the islands, St. Kitts, Abyssinia, Ethiopia, Morocco. These people were born to here, and that whole almost everybody in there was coming from. They were West Indies. that was in that congregation. Another thing to point out, and notice he said Moors, Zionist Jews. So the Moors and the Jews were together. These were a lot of people coming from the Iberians, like I was saying.
So if you go back to 1492, Columbus supposed to sail here, right?
Allegedly.
They didn't finish exiling the so-called Moors from Spain and France until 1491. They exiled them to a place in Africa. At the time, it was called Al Maghrib. Under the George Washington Challenge, these Negropeans, when they first came over here, they called themselves English, French, Dutch, Portuguese, Spanish, and Italian.
German,
but
too.
they look like us, and Germans, but they look like us. But they had servants that didn't look like us. And this is why our ancestors told us pale face speak with forked tongue.
Hey, that's what I was going to ask you, Unc. Are those
listen
with them to service? Were they pale faces?
Yep. That's why the first servants that came over here, they classified as indentures. They was pale face, Irish, and English.
Bars.
And German. German too. We can't forget them. They was there.
Yep. Now, what ended up happening is they start using them to keep us out of their system, so we don't know how it work. We will never know how it work until we get an inside man to put eyes on what they doing. This is what Noble Drew Ali had to do. Because this is why he say get a good Moorish education. Because then you get to see what happened with the invasion of the Americas that was part of the discovery doctrine of the Vatican, because they had to find somewhere for the exiles from Europe to go. This is why the Bible keep telling them that the chosen people of God gonna get a homeland, and God got to kill the people of the land He's taking them to. They ain't native over here.
Wait a minute. Are you telling them that the Moors are the enemy?
The dirty Moors.
Okay.
This is what ended up. Moor became a catch term.
Okay.
To incorporate tribal leadership with invading leadership in an amnesia position to educate ourselves out the condition. This is the George Washington Challenge. The righteous Moors, you can easily tell because they're going to teach you like C. Freeman Hill. They're going to teach you like Hakeem Bey. They're going to teach you like Taj Tariq Bey. The dirty Moors is going to always try to keep you tied up in paperwork. Their job is to keep you tied into a nationality so that you could stay in servant status. When Noble Drew Ali came to establish nationality, it was a separation. But when he got usurped, on the back of the nationality card, they said, this is a U.S. citizen. That wasn't like that under the original Moorish Science Temple that Noble Drew Ali established. He set up a tribal construct because he used to be able to send a grand sheik to get any one of his members from out of their system with no resistance on the jurisdictional challenge. But once one of them secretaries went behind his back and made a deal with the government, took away that power from the grand sheik to act as a chief to take you out of their jurisdiction.
He was infiltrated.
So a lot of us not aware of that. We aware of the conflict between C. Kirkman Bey and Millie Hill. We aware of all that stuff, but we're not aware of what they was fighting about. The infighting was about somebody made a contract with the government that took the power that the Moorish Science Temple had to free the people away and trapped us back into the slave system. This is why they had to kill him.
He did get killed.
They had to kill him because he could have fixed the problem if they don't kill him.
In fact, he was the only one that got killed. Everybody else stayed put. He was the only one that got killed.
And then they went about claiming themselves to be the reincarnated Noble Drew Ali and all this stuff.
Yeah, it was infiltrated.
Right? It's the same thing. It's the same thing. Malcolm had to run the red herring in order to draw the infiltrators in the nation out so Elijah can know who they was. So, Rod, how do you know that? because Malcolm stood up there in front of the news camera because he couldn't talk to Elijah no more.
Yeah, I
and
remember
went
this.
to naming people.
Yeah.
He went to naming these people, but he kept saying, the police are well aware of this, and the streets know I ain't telling on nobody because the police told me. The only person it makes sense that he would be giving this information to in the public domain is Elijah.
That's
because
why he went public.
That's why, because he have to let him know who the infiltrators is. But before he leave, he got to pick a successor that's capable of holding the position the same as Malcolm. Malcolm picked a guy named Lewis Walcott. Right? So now all of the shift goes over, and what we don't realize is something else going on with the nation in the background. It's matriarchs making arrangements for alliance across the land with all the tribes. This is why Elijah says 75% of the work is with the women. The reason his Islam don't look like Arab Islam, anybody that becomes a chief on the land know, when you become a man and you're ready to establish your own, you can use whatever teachable doctrine you can find and improve as long as you make it your own. You have to put your own twist on it in order for you to be able to use it to raise your own clan. That's called worshiping under your own vine and fig tree. So no, they teach Islam, but they don't teach Arab cultural Islam. It's a big difference.
Still
and
to
you
this
gotta
day.
know, you got to see the cultural influence of us as a people in the moves he was making. Then you understand why he wasn't following the Arab Islamic pattern. He wasn't trying to Arabicize us. He was trying to get us to wake up to who he was. And some of us, this is why he got contention between him and Clarence 13X. He wanted us to Elijah wanted us to have a high moral code and live clean and stay out these people's system. Clarence say, what about the tobacco chiefs? What about the ones that smoke the herbs? Them ancestors gonna come back looking for a cigarette and a blunt.
Mm.
And if we continue to keep everybody isolated that smoke cigarettes and blunts, then we might isolate a very important chief out of the equation. So he ran off and set up something else. And what happened? Some people that look like us murdered him because they knew what he was doing. He got murdered by some people look like us. This is a recurring theme, and we keep thinking it's pale face. It's not the pale face. It's the ones that look like us. That's why Tupac say, on all my riding, I never thought that somebody that looked like me would actually be the one to shoot me. I thought it'd be a government agent or a FBI plant or something like that. I never thought that some Negroes would be the ones that shoot me.
But don't get it twisted. It'll be the Negroes that they were hired because they could be easily manipulated by them. They get them to do the dirty work.
That go back to your FBI snitch program, your infiltrator program. They had programs to do this work.
They were right beside Malcolm X, by the way. Those agents was right beside him.
Right, and we can't forget neither that J. Edgar Hoover was actually he had
a mulatto
ancestry. Yeah, he was let me find a dark skinned man. Let me say that he was a dark skinned man himself. That's something that they hide. His descendants are still out today, and they they acknowledge themselves as Choctaw Indians, and they look like us. I just want to throw that out there too.
Yeah, J. Edgar Hoover was passing the whole time.
Right.
We got a history of that, but we don't even know why they call America the Great Melting Pot and why one drop of blood is all it takes. Right? If you go back in the historical record just to the 1920s, Paleface didn't sing with soul. Paleface wasn't built like sisters. Paleface now got their drop of blood, and you can tell in their physiology and in the ability to tap into the soul. They didn't have none of that before they started amalgamating. It ain't new. Anybody think it's new, they go back to J.A. Rogers' Sex and Race. and J. Rogers, Nature Knows No Color line, where he break it all down, that this is what this is all about. What's the great debauchery? It's a laboratory screw up of altering the genetics of the human that cause some humans to be less than the other humans. So what's the remedy? Add 1 drop of blood. And it makes that ability to be able to develop the soul self, the spirit self, the higher consciousness, to allow them to have the right to ascend. We was being in an infinity loop because they didn't have a right of ascension, because somebody tampered with their DNA in a laboratory, and all this is recorded in Anunnaki records, Egyptian records, and in Arabic records.
They needed to intermingle with us in order to survive.
Right. So we call it the right to ascension, because at the close of the age, we're going to have a solar flash come in soon that's going to get rid of anything that don't supposed to be here. It's going to be accompanied by a flash that's going to be coming through this radiation belt we about to pass through, not to mention the effects of the planet of this other secondary sun about to go through our system, right? So all this stuff is going to cause reactions on Earth.
Yeah.
And the frequency that's going to come from the core of Earth is going to be a high-pitched screech to the ones that don't belong here, but the ones that belong here ain't going to hear nothing. And then you just going to see a bunch of people just laying around because they don't belong here. They can't sync to the frequency that the new Earth is going to put out. That means they didn't have the right to ascend. That means that they couldn't raise their pitch, their frequency.
By the way, y'all should be familiar with me talking about something similar to what he just mentioned, as to the reason why they still want to control the frequencies still to this day. Not certain people, not that many people can handle low and high frequencies for that reason, but they know for a fact that they could tap into our energy by tapping into the frequency that we are on. If they're changing the channel, just like how you change the channel on your television, what happens? You're more liable to look at a different programming. So if they change the channel on your mindset, you're able to be programmed differently. That was the whole main purpose. They know we are the chosen people, so they have to keep them or keep us to a minimum. But that is their number one weapon to utilize, and it's going to in turn hurt them because they're not capable of staying afloat. Low and high frequency at a certain point. This is the reason why they keep getting sick. By the way, y'all need to look into trying to cleanse yourselves from those toxins they have been spraying chaff in the air, and all of this, greater amounts of radiation going through your skin. I mean, these were weapons designed to stop the people from being the chosen people.
Actually, for the last 2 years, they've been reversing the chemtrails. It looked like they still putting chemtrails up, but those are chemicals that's been used to bind against the chemicals they put up, and it come down in gorilla hell. It come down in atmospheric river floods.
Correct.
So they had to clean it up because they lost. We won. Our people just ain't aware of it yet, and it's almost time to celebrate. And the celebration is already scheduled for 2025. I've been telling people this before it was ever announced, the annual celebration, that when this was all said and done, we was having Mardi Gras coast to coast.
The reason why we know that we're winning, the reason why we know that is because those pale faces that he's referring to are dying faster than they are being born. So they were hurting their own people this entire time.
The only ones gonna make it is the ones who've assimilated the 1 drop of blood. If they don't have that drop of blood, they gonna have to be recycled into a family to have that drop of blood in order for them to make it through the ascension. Now they got a gateway to make it through the ascension. You supposed to be a god and you denying somebody the right to ascend. This is why we had to go through the misery chapter, because we had to suffer the afflictions we afflicted up on them as melanated people. We wasn't the guilty parties, but Mama said the good had to suffer with the bad in order to balance out the books.
Negative, positive. Mm-hmm.
You can't, the person that did the dirt, the one that watched him and didn't say nothing had to suffer just like the one that was doing the dirt. Right? So now you got, when I first was telling people about the sudden dropping dead of people back in 2019 and 2020, they thought I was crazy. But then when the government came out with the sudden adult death syndrome, people started inboxing me talking about, you said that was going to happen. I didn't tell you that for you to say I told you so. That's the worst thing I want to hear. I want to hear that you adjusted to the information and it allowed you to stay out of their way while all of their dirt going down and they getting cleaned up in the process. You don't want to get caught up in somebody else's drama. And that's what we always trying to get caught up in some gossip that we end up missing the important messages. They use the gossip meal of the celebrity circle to keep us distracted because we love that trash, that low vibrational, low frequency garbage talk. Right? That's the lowest frequency of energy exchange among humans, gossip. And the celebrities make the perfect fertilizer for gossip to grow. And if you want to get a bunch of nosy, gossipy people distracted, all you got to do is give them some gossip they classify as juicy. Ain't nothing more juicy than TD Jakes getting caught at Puffy Freak Off party. That's juicy gossip.
Nah, for real.
That's compelling gossip. That's the gossip that make people that wouldn't even listen to gossip say, wait, what you just say?
Mm-hmm.
Now you getting people that don't even deal in gossip being nosy because the gossip is so juicy, it's irresistible. Now they can all find out what it feel like to get swallowed.
Straight distractions.
Watch this. I want to jump in when y'all building on frequency. For them changing the frequency, right now we noticing, like we go to the NBA. They had a Paleface running 3 years in a row MVP. Now they're speaking about the guy in Dallas down there, another Paleface being the face of the league, best player in the league. But I want to go back to this here, the music, how they changed the music. Because now we notice white folks got the nerve to come out here and sing on side of our people today. That never had, back in the past when we were doing soul music and we was on our vibration. Speak on that, throw you one out the glass. Bring us back to that. They took out the high pitch. They took out the soul music. They took the soul out of the music, and now today, they got them. You feel me? You have these pale faces who feel like they can sing with us or sing on side of it. What happened when we stepped out?
That's just to verify they drop of blood. You got to keep in mind, Oscar, who they get an Oscar, so that was a brother.
Say, well, wait a minute. You broke out when you said that. Say that one more time.
Oscar, when they be winning Oscars, Oscar was a brother. Oscar was one of us. He was the original filmmaker. He created the pattern for modern day film. Right? What is the Academy giving them an award for? Who is the Academy? What Academy? You getting an Academy Award for your music. It's the Music Academy. Well, who created it? Some melanated people created the Academy. They don't want you to know this because they don't want you to know about what we call the Jewish influence in Hollywood. Then you have to talk about
carefully.
Yeah. Then you have to talk about star whackers and extortion plots and sharecropping agreements in the industry. They don't want you talking about it, so they done made laws and made it illegal for you to talk about the people doing the dirt so that they can accuse the people that's trying to do right of doing dirt and you don't question it.
Man, I wish I could hit the repeat button. Right now, we can't talk about them doing the dirt. We can't talk about them at all. They don't even want to hear about the history of them doing the dirt. The whole time, they done made it law. I can't believe that.
And then they also accuse the ones that's trying to do right and hire people that look like us to co-sign it, and we fall for it hook, line, and sinker, and then you let somebody who could have gave you keys to your freedom get snatched up by the system. Jonah in the belly of the beast.
Now you ain't got no one on the front line for you or that proper representation.
Yeah.
They doing it on purpose. That's survival of the fittest.
Hey, what about the sports?
Go back to COINTELPRO. To stop the rise of any potential messiah who could incite the masses, who could unify and electrify the Black nationalist organization to become one front against the system. This is what their purpose is. So what do they mean? We all recognize certain chiefs from our historical memory. When they come to the forefront, some of us whose memory is strongest can identify them. They tracking us through astrology, birthdays, and geography. What longitude and latitude, what's the star alignment on this day? This is where a chief gonna be born. Then they tag the boys at birth so they can try to kill him off before he realizes if he a chief. Because he gotta go through a certain training process through his family, his extended family, his neighborhood, his city, and then they gotta send him out on the land to go be examined by other communities to determine if he have the righteous heart of an actual leader and chief in the people.
But they missed us.
No, they had me, but they let me go.
Man.
They had me for 16 years, Dane.
Oh, they had you on lockdown.
Yeah,
they just sat you down. You here with us now.
But look, they never expected that one of us would use a prison for a monastery and as a university. They tried to make it taboo to go to prison and learn something. So now they always warn you before you go, when you're young, when you're about to get locked up, don't go in there and start turning into no old Muslim. As if that's the only way you can be converted to Islam is to go to prison. It just so happens
that's the stigma.
Is the only place you stuck where you can sit down long enough to investigate what you believe in to find out if you really believe it or not. Most of us in these religions, we never had the opportunity to sit down, really analyze and determine in our heart of hearts. Do I believe the story they telling me? I ain't never believed it. Look, I got in trouble by my mama when I was 6 years old for telling the preacher a damn lie. Matter of fact, I'm gonna tell you, his name was Pastor Odney at Bethel Pentecostal Church in Grand Rapids, Michigan. He was telling us the Jesus story. And I turned around to my mama, why is that man sitting up there lying? And she pinch rolled a whole elbow off. Told me you can't say that in the church. When I got home.
Oh, you was in the church.
Yeah. He was preaching when I said it. Look, when we got home, my mama told me like this is when she was programming me on how to navigate on the land. She said, baby, when you hear stuff like that, you can't let people know what you're thinking, because then they'll try to do something to hurt you. Mama was giving me game early. I just didn't know what
right hand know what the left hand is doing, and vice versa.
That was one of her most famous sayings. She used to tell us that all the time.
Yeah.
So I learned that, like all the stuff I be telling, this stuff ain't new to me. The stuff I be telling everybody. It's just that I didn't know how to tell it to them without the reference. So I had to go find where somebody else said it before I did, so they don't have to believe me. They can go argue with the person that I'm quoting. The academic process. But once they realized that I already knew this stuff before I found that reference for you, right? Now they started to say, okay, well, he telling us stuff that ain't nobody else telling us. Maybe we ought to look into deeper to what he's saying. And the bottom line of what I'm saying, while we on this show right here, three brothers, on the fatherland, we got a matriarchal meeting happening on the other. That's called a collateral attack. Anybody that don't know what it is, look it up. It's collateral attack. We doing two different things among the tribes on the land. The matriarchy is moving on one area in the matriarchal meeting, and the brothers over here, the three chiefs, is talking. because we got to get it through the people's head what's going on the land. We just softening them up for the real high chiefs of the land who was restricted from protecting the people properly and looking out for the interests of the people by the corporation. They have to give the viable report in the public domain among the nation. It's going to be just like a state of the state address by the president, except the president might be introducing to you to the chiefs that need to speak.
It's up.
And if you don't know your culture, when you see some of these chiefs speaks, you're going to be calling them a bloody criminal. Because that's how bad the system had to villainize them to make us reject them. And all the time, all of the heroes they gave us is doing way worse than all of the villains that they called villains. They calling our tribal leadership villains, but all of they business moguls and political giants is all pedophile Pizzagate cult members. They preachers, they ministers, half of them is, the majority of them, pedophile priest cult members too.
And the politicians.
Yeah, all they said, they political giants. You know, they got the Senate and the Congress out there. You know what a Congress is? It's a Congress is a grouping of mayors. Mayors is town mothers. Now we chasing drag queens across the land. That's all these men masquerading as the town mother. They call themselves mayor. The only man supposed to be the clerk. He supposed to be the one come out. And you remember in the old movie they had the dude roll the scroll out and read off to the public. That's his job. He ain't the mayor. He's just the speaker. He's the town clerk, the town speaker. He come out and tell you what the town mother said about the next ration, the meals coming in, the almanac say the storm gonna come. Yeah, he just reading out her edict to the tribes in the town. But we don't know that a mare is a female horse. We think that a mare is, a female horse is a stallion. Megan, Joshua Pete. But we won't ever go look to find out who Joshua Pete is, so we won't ever know that they've been showing us all the time.
I ain't gonna lie, I'm glad I'm not the only one that thought that was a male, but go ahead.
Look, just Google Joshua Pete and Megan Thee Stallion gonna come up. I seen a video when Joshua did the drop it low and 18 inches of pecker fell out.
I'm glad you keeping it edited, but yeah, I kind of figured something was up with that because it was giving me Michael Obama vibes, and I was like, nah.
You know, it's four of them, and one of them is, or at least one of them is a female for real, but it's like four of them. It's about 6 Obamas. I don't know what they doing. They got people in skin masks or something, but they not all the same because they don't all move the same. What's it called? Idiosyncrasies, body language. Their body language not all the same. Their height is not all the same. Sometimes Obama taller than Michelle, and sometimes Michelle taller than Obama. What's going on here?
And he didn't slipped up and said Michael 3 times.
At least, and that was wasn't even, he didn't slip up. He said it on purpose.
Yeah, he did say it on purpose.
He wanted you to know who Michael was, right? Why Joan? What's her name? The
Joanne.
Comedian lady. The old comedian lady said everybody know.
What's her name? Joanne Rivers.
Joan Rivers.
Yeah, Joan Rivers. Yeah. Yep. And she died like a couple months after that. As soon as she said that.
Just for no reason. She just was dead. And there was no cause of death. She just dead.
Yep. They got rid of her quick.
Look, all of those artists that died them mysterious deaths, they classified them as suicide. They didn't do that, man. Kurt Cobain didn't kill himself. All of these artists, when they start getting to a certain level, If they won't give up their rights, that's what you call selling their soul. If they won't sell their soul, they put a hit on them.
Yeah, that
military group in Hollywood, their job is that to reach out and touch these entertainers and make it look like accidents and overdoses.
And and see that's I'm glad you brought that up, because that goes back to my brother Coolio. And when I was talking to Coolio, and we were talking about a lot, that brother Coolio was on point. I'm talking about on point. And then all of a sudden, he goes to a spot that, okay, let me, I'm gonna say it correctly. His manager goes to a spot that Coolio is not familiar with, but Coolio needed to go in there to use the bathroom. He never made it out. And he had just got off a tour. I was supposed to be meeting up with him that Monday. And I'm talking about, he just got his, man. Okay, I'm not trying to put all the business out there, but I think they did something to Coolio, man.
Well, you got to remember, right before he mysteriously croaked, he had came out and was telling them about the nefarious dealings going on behind the scenes.
He did. He came out on an interview and said that. Yep.
Why every time somebody talk about the dirt going on behind the scenes, Pimp C?
Pimp C the same way, yeah.
Tupac, they all talking about the dirt going on behind the scenes. They all end up mysteriously dead. Young Thug, Triple X, they all telling us the dirt going on behind the scenes, but we thinking they just artists just talking. Then they ended up mysteriously dead. Nipsey Hussle. And it don't make sense. All of this stuff it don't make sense for them to die the way that they telling us, Pop Smoke. It just don't make sense. But we tend to believe the news report for the appearance of legitimacy under their uniform system. And because it played on all of the news channels, nobody didn't even notice that on multiple news channels, the live footage of Kobe accident was a different helicopter on different channels.
I did that. I did a whole segment on that, and YouTube took my video down. But you meant to say Young Dolph, not Young Thug. Young Dolph.
Yeah, Young Dolph.
But yeah, man, I'm on it though. You know, I ain't gonna make them run with that. You know how these tabloids do. They'll run with that. Oh, look what he said. He said Young. No. We brothers here. We gonna look out for each other.
Ain't Young Thug the one they gave that case to down there in Atlanta?
Yeah, the reason why they did that to him is because he was about to buy land, right?
Yeah, he was also, he be telling them youngsters they ain't from Africa.
Yeah, he was passing that around. In fact, in one of his tweets, he was saying that Elon Musk was the African American. I remember he said that. He said Elon Musk, and Elon Musk reached out to him. He was like, "You want me to help you get some land?"
A lot of these artists is coming out now. Basketball players, Kyrie Irving, telling them, I know who I am. Why is you trying to make me be somebody else?
Yeah, Kyrie know what's up. Kyrie home team.
Kevin Gates.
He home team.
2 Chainz.
Home team.
You can name them.
Ice Cube.
I can go through.
Ice Cube, Chingy,
out of Memphis.
Duke Deuce. Yeah, that's the brother out of Memphis.
Out to the homie King Los too, man. King Los be dropping it too.
Yeah, Nelly.
Yeah, Nelly. It's
all the Wu-Tang boys. They almost all of them was Shinnecock.
Yeah, we got a shot at Killer Priest and
Killer Priest.
Yeah.
Waka Flocka.
Home team.
Flavor Flav.
LL Cool
J. Mike Tyson. Hold up, Mike Tyson.
Jackson.
Cicely Tyson.
It's a whole. Man, we could keep going down the list.
James Earl Jones, Danny Glover.
Oh, and what's my boy name? The narrator. I call him the narrator, y'all. But he has that voice, and he been old ever since he been acting. The actor, I forgot his Morgan Freeman. That's his name.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, don't forget Barry White.
Yeah.
Sam Cooke.
Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
The whole Jackson clan.
Shout out to the Jacksons.
So, look, most of us don't remember when Michael told us he was going to sacrifice himself for them kids being abused in Hollywood. I remember it clear as day, but they don't remember that after that I was either VH1 Music Award or MTV Music Award, Mike was standing up there doing what's called the T-pose. And they had the fan blowing on him, and all them kids ran out from backstage and started grabbing his legs. And they ran this press run in the news for the following 2 weeks saying Michael Jackson think he Jesus Christ. That was them letting you know they finna go at him.
Hey, hold on, you just made me think about something. So on this podcast, Boss Talk out of Dallas, they had this guy on there, and he said that Michael Jackson, after that when he got burnt, he ended up he was on bed rest, and they had prescribed him prescriptions and all that. I forgot the lady name, but he supposedly went to a party with her and overdosed. They were doing coke, and Mike supposedly overdosed. And so when they brought it back, they next album he released was Thriller, him coming back from the dead. So they were saying that Mike actually died. What was that, 83, 79, 83, one of them.
He got burnt in 83. He came out with, matter of fact, he was on tour with his brothers on the Victory tour when he got burnt up. The Thriller album was already out. Okay. They did two Jackson's album. They did Triumph and they did Victory while that Thriller album was on the chart for like 3 or 4 years.
Now, when he got burnt, wasn't that Pepsi commercial he was shooting?
Yeah.
Okay.
So when he got done getting burnt up, if you go to Larry King and you look at this kid named David, that's Michael Jackson with no makeup. Every time you seen Michael Jackson, he had makeup on because his face was distorted from the fire. He was really burnt the F up. And so without the makeup on, reconstructing his face, he wouldn't allow his face to be seen in public. That's why he was walking around with a mask on like it was jab season or something.
The chat saying Dave.
David. Yep. Dave.
Who is that? Who is Dave?
That's Michael Jackson on Larry King after his so-called death with no makeup on.
Wow.
So the public didn't even
I gotta look that up.
Listen to him talk. Before you look at who he is, turn it on, Dave interview, let it play, but don't never look at the picture. You're gonna be like, that's Michael Jackson talking. The reason why he talked with that slight lisp, because the fire had burned his nose up, and the flames went in his nose and scorched his nasal cavity that made him talk with that hum at his voice. It's an unmistakable hum.
I knew it was going to be on the front of him, and they kept saying how it landed on his on the back of his neck. Yeah.
Right.
I knew it was on the front.
They was downplaying it because they didn't want us to know how bad, because that was an assassination attempt, by the way.
I'm sure.
Right? They was trying to kill Mike back then because then he had 27% of Sony.
See, I kind of figured it was something because at that time, notice how he ain't even sue Pepsi.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
It was assassination attempt. Yeah. So it turned around, then they continue to do business with Mike. He ended up leaving Sony with 52%.
Yeah, he had it, 52%. Had half of Sony. Sure did.
And then they came out with all of these laws to bust up his estate once he passed over.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't understand how they was able to get his estate. I don't understand.
They didn't get his whole estate. All they got was Sony and the Beatles catalog, and it's another artist catalog he had that was big. Sony was 52% of not just Sony. That was all artists that Sony distributed from other labels as well.
Yeah,
Every one of your
favorite
artists. Yeah, every one of your
Beyonce.
favorite artists.
Yep.
Yeah, he was getting paid off their music. Every one of your favorite artists, from Prince to James Brown to whoever was being published through Sony, Michael Jackson was getting the cut. That's why he could go spend $300 million like it was pocket change.
Yeah, he had that money for sure.
Yeah, they just did some stuff with his estate to block his kids out.
I saw that.
Yeah,
I saw that. That's why I was who's in charge of his estate? Because his estate's supposed to be private.
Yeah, the only one they couldn't block was Catherine.
The sister wasn't that the sister, right?
Catherine is mama.
Oh, his mother. Okay. But no, LaToya was the one that was trying to come after it, right? She was the one that was trying to. Somebody that didn't like Michael at all was trying to come after it.
Yeah, I don't know about them. I just know this last incident when they blocked the children out of the estate because they said it was $700 million understated for tax purposes. So they put an IRS lien on it. And then they said they didn't touch the part of the estate that was left to Catherine, his mother. But they've been trying to get it from them babies because people keep saying them not his real babies. Even though they test tube babies, they his test tube babies.
Right. Right.
You know, so I mean, hey, he made him with who he wanted to make him with. I don't want to make no test tube babies. That's like Kim Kardashian, them test tube babies. She ain't had no baby for real. Oh, Horus, queen of the damn.
I never liked them. I don't like how they portrayed them out there to try to make it seem like they this and they that and they all that and whole time they trying to look like one of our women.
Yeah, but all the time they see horses. That's the part that nobody know about. That's why Aaliyah had to get low when she played the queen of the damn. She was playing Kardashian. Go back and look at the pictures. She was playing Kim Kardashian as the queen of the damn, meaning that she was doing some dirt behind the scenes that needed to be exposed. And then Kim Kardashian came dressed like, came to one of them awards dressed like Aaliyah and Queen of the Damn because she wanted to agree with her. Yep, I'm that beat. All this stuff going on in our face, like for instance, the Travis Scott situation was a whole
ritual.
It was a ritual, public humiliation, divorce from a witch's coven.
Cause he ain't really been having nothing going on ever since. And they just the last people they just cashed him out this year, probably like a month ago.
He had insurance, but the whole thing was to make him look like a villain. So it'd justify that that Kardashian chick he was kicking it with leaving him. Everybody would look at her like she did some noble stuff all the time. Her and her mom and them set the whole ritual up.
I don't trust them.
It was a witch's coven, public humiliation, divorce. That's what it was.
Oh, and that's another person that we forgot, Kanye West. But I was upset with Kanye. I'm not gonna lie. When he was with that, I was like, why get with her and then have your child by her?
He did it. It was a military action by Kanye. It was like grab the bear and hold her. The same reason Puffy is laid up with Clive Davis. He been laid up with Clive Davis for 25, 26 years. How long Pac been gone?
I lost count.
It's not no coincidence. This stuff not an accident. All of this stuff is if we gonna get what's back ours, we got to find the dirty players that we suffering for. Then we got to make sure that we put somebody there that can hold the position until it's time for them to fall. With Puffy job, he was assigned to Clive Davis because he was, he was a universal sex agent.
And been that way for years.
He been dibbling and dabbling on both sides of the spectrum of the sexuality since he was a teen. It ain't new to him. So when you find somebody already engaged in the nefarious actions, okay, well, we need you to go hold on to this one right here and don't let him go. Use your lifestyle to trap this one. His assignment is Clive Davis. Now, how it's going to play out, I don't know. But Clive financed all the freak-off parties and told him what information he needed on what people in order to use it as leverage for extortion purposes. Clive orchestrated it.
That's what, you know what? I'm glad you said that, because I said that during a live stream. I told them, I said, me personally, I thought that Clive Davis and the other guy that's ahead of Universal was the people that sent Homeland Security to P. Diddy's house to go get them tapes because they knew it was revealing. It's going to expose them.
But it's also a bridge from the Epstein thing.
Right. But yeah, a bridge. Yeah. It's strictly like subdivision type. Almost like, well, I wouldn't even say subdivision. They're all the same.
Tentacles of an octopus.
Yeah, there we go. They're on the same one.
So when you look at the clientele for Puffy, you look at the clientele for Epstein, they different. The clientele is different, but the whole purpose is the same. Extortion.
Yeah.
This is like Judge Joe Brown did it. Judge Joe Brown, who you so brilliantly spanked not so long ago. Judge Joe Brown just gave
bootleg folks don't like me, man. Go ahead.
Nah, he just gave a whole discussion on they just convicted Trump of getting extorted and charged him with being a criminal for paying an extortion plot through his attorney. So they prosecuted the victim for being victimized, and all the time they never identified the criminal behavior of the hush money. All that's scripted.
Yeah, absolutely.
Look, I'm gonna show you something else. You remember the boy in Wisconsin that was playing video games with the judge?
What you mean?
The boy that shot the brothers at the so-called riot, and they acquitted him. They said it was he was self-defense or something in Wisconsin.
I can't recall it. That must have been a while ago.
This was the last president election around that time. Remember?
Yeah, they had a little teenage boy shot them folks at the. I think it was some stuff going on behind, I think, George Floyd.
Right. And my son and a lot of those, the rap out of New York, all of them was in Wisconsin last election, trying to get somebody to vote there.
Right. So anyway, the reason why I brought it up is this. If you go back, they got the little boy playing video games with the judge over the case, right? If you go back to Eric Holder getting arraigned in California, it's the same damn judge.
Oh, they saying Kyle Rittenhouse. I remember that name.
Kyle Rittenhouse, yeah.
I remember that name.
So I think they locked him up. So you been telling me he ended up beating that case?
Yeah.
Man, that's
but I heard that white boy that killed whatchamacallit got put off. I mean, he was locked up for a second, but I heard he out or something like that. They dropped his case too, that officer.
No, they just dropped some time.
They dropped some time.
His last name was Chauvin, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Right, Derek Chauvin. Yeah, he got took off on, I think an essay ended up taking off on him in there.
You ever looked that name up, Dane?
Which one?
Chauvin. You ever heard the term chauvinism?
Nuh-uh.
A male chauvinist?
Yeah, I heard of that, yeah.
Talk to me.
Anyway, the term chauvinist is traced back to a guy whose last name is Chauvin. And he was the one who was one of the authors of Patriarchy.
Interesting.
That's why they call it chauvinism when the men try to silence the women, they call you a male chauvinist pig.
You said when a male trying to side with the women?
Nah,
Silence. Quiet her down. Go in the kitchen with your pregnant self and cook and walk around barefooted. That guy.
Okay.
They call him a male chauvinist pig. That's what they're talking about. Chauvin was one of the original patriarchal founders.
Interesting.
All of them people in that case got a historical character name, either first name or last name.
I'm seeing that pattern a lot. They doing that a lot.
That's a blueprint signature of the lodges, of the secret society.
Yeah, that's how you can tell it was done by design.
Yeah.
They doing it in code.
That's why when we came in with George Washington, we had the exit off the back of George Herbert Walker Bush, who made himself King George in the wee hours of the morning in 1991 with a Senate Select Committee. And it was written about by William Cooper and Beheld a Pale Horse.
Yeah, I remember William Cooper. I got his stuff.
Yeah, so when he made himself king, when Bill Clinton was president, he was still running the show. When his son became president, he was still running the show. When Barry became president, he was still running the show. And all of them grew up as assets, as CIA assets under him. Hillary Clinton was a CIA asset and her handler was George Bush. George Herbert Walker Bush, the old man, right? He muscled his way into office by muscling out the Republican candidate under Ronald Reagan to become vice presidential candidate. I think the original person was supposed to run with Reagan was from Michigan, name was Moynihan. But then George Bush pulled rank on him.
Yeah, they were saying a lot of people were saying that George Bush was the one that was going to start off the New World Order. Like that's exactly what his job was to do. He was set in place to start it.
Well, the reason they say that because he said it out his own mouth.
He did though. I saw that video.
He said it out his own mouth. I seen it when it was live while he was saying it. And he went to talking about 1,000 points of light. Right? And people didn't know what he was talking about. Right? But the whole thing is this. If you look at the dude, John Hinckley Jr. that shot Ronald Reagan, and you put a picture of Jeb right next to it, you can't tell they ain't twins. Because that was George Herbert Walker Bush, illegitimate son that shot Ronald Reagan. That's why he's the only person that ever attempted to assassinate a president and lived.
That would make sense.
It was a CIA operation. The only reason why Ronald Reagan was allowed to live because they forced Nancy Reagan to give him medication that made him lose his memory. But if she left him off the medication too long, he'll start remembering who he is and what happened. That's the only reason they allowed him to live. The CIA operations, they foul.
Do you agree with William Cooper when he said, and Ted Gunderson also came out and said this too, if you're familiar with that name, came out and said that Kennedy was shot by the driver?
Oh yeah, that's old news.
Okay.
The Zapruder film was the polished up public relations version of the assassination.
I got it.
It was altered back then, and with modern technology, it's so obvious that it was altered that all of us is wondering how we ever got tricked. But back then, the technology ain't where it was now, and we couldn't see the difference in the altered film back then. If you go look at some of the footage of the spacewalks, it's obvious they ain't in outer space, and it's obviously that they faking it. You can almost see the strings that they're using to try and make it appear like they in an anti-gravity situation.
Yeah.
all of that old stuff now is because we have been saturated with modern television. When we see it, we know it's fake, and we don't even have to second guess now.
Just like right now, when I saw Tesla, I purposely sat there in the living room to watch the Tesla rockets go up in space. And as soon as, you know, they're talking about something, we're 100 from whatever, they giving the amount of them about to break out into space, the amount of miles they're about to, they're away from breaking out in space. And all of a sudden, everything goes dark. I'm talking about 4K cameras and you can't see nothing. I said, all right.
Look, remember this, the rocket ship that blew up, right? All of the astronauts that was on there was found working at universities as professors. And they all say that looked like me, but that ain't me. But when you look at them, you're like, stop lying.
Wait, hold on. How much? See, I went born then. Wait a minute. So they actually end up finding, you know what I always thought that about those type of situations. What if they actually find somebody bump into or recognize the person that they have in there? So they weren't even astronauts.
They was astronauts, but they was also professors. You gotta remember, all of those people that work for NASA as astronauts, you only go on, astronauts only go on spacewalks probably once every couple of years. In the interim, what do? They teach school. They teach physics. They teach quantum physics. They teach all this higher mathematics and this the philosophies of what's the dude in the wheelchair? Stephen Hawking and Einsteinian theories. This is what they do when they ain't preparing for a spacewalk. You got 500, a pool of 500 candidates to choose from to go into outer space. You only can choose between 5 and 6 of them. What the rest of them gonna do in the meantime? Sit around and get paid while they wait to go in outer space?
And they getting paid cash money.
But you ain't got no work, they can't pay you. They only paying the ones that's supposed to be doing the work. So the other ones, they get them jobs. We're gonna put you at MIT. We're gonna send you to Langley. We're gonna send you to Harvard. We're gonna send you to Princeton, you know, and give them these jobs, these high profile professor jobs. And then when they need them for a spacewalk, they call them in. That's not their whole life. That's like a supplement. So then when this spacewalk happened, when the shuttle blew up, and 10 years later, they found all these people that just so happen to be the same people with the same name. They saying it ain't them, right? They got the same name or a variant of the name of the person from the exploded Challenger spacecraft.
What was it? Was it Apollo 13 that we referring to?
I think it was Space Shuttle Challenger. It blew up off launch.
Oh, damn. Like right here. And like before they even got up. Okay.
Yeah, it blew up on launch. It went into outer space, it go up about cloud high, and then it blew up.
Wow.
But they found all of the astronauts that were supposed to be on board years later working as professors at universities. I think like 1 or 2 of them was probably working as an executive at some kind of tech firm, but most of them was professors.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to that space stuff, man, I gotta see. My thing is this, man. I still haven't seen how that could be possible. Still haven't seen it. It's almost like they playing pre-generated shit. Like they giving me stuff from a computer. Like they giving me graphics on a computer. I'm not getting the feeling that this is authentic. I'm not getting that.
It's the same with this Biden situation. This
he AI. He's AI, hands down.
Well, and skin mask.
And it's both. It is both. Because when he go out, I agree with you on that. I didn't quote a few of those.
Look, when
his
he
ear loop be long as hell. Yeah, I know. I seen that.
Look, when he be falling up the stairs and falling on stage, that's Jim Carrey playing Mask.
Somebody said Jim Carrey. I heard them say that.
Look, when he give a comprehensive, coherent speech, that's a guy named James Wood or another guy named Arthur something playing Joe Biden. They got like 5 different actors at least playing Joe Biden at different times. Some of them just use deep fake, and some of them actually
they do use deep fake.
They use deep fake, green screen. Go back to the inauguration. You see that plastic he was standing in front of?
Yep.
That's a holographic projection system.
I did a few videos on that. I knew it wasn't like that's and look, and now he requesting to have the debate with Trump, but no audience. I was like, come on, bro, y'all giving it up right there. Yo, wasn't nobody there, huh?
Then, look, it's just a nice, convenient coincidence that when we started discovering that the Joe Biden that was passing them laws for crack, is not the same Joe Biden that's out now. It come out that Barry say that he would take a third term.
He said
if he could do it from the basement over a microphone using deep fake technology.
And we know that could be possible, because of the fact that he also predicted, not to bring this up, but he also predicted Drake and Kendrick Lamar's situation years ago. I wonder if people caught that. Like, he said, like random questions too. This was a random question, and he picked Kendrick Lamar.
You talking about Joe Biden?
I'm talking about Obama.
Oh, okay.
Obama came out and said that on tape.
So
years ago.
you gotta know the backstory to this character they call Obama. The backstory is this: he was born in the Philippines as a test tube baby. He was a genetic clone from a mummy they found in Egypt of the pharaoh named Akhenaten. The reason they cloned him because they knew that the next one in line as the heir that's ascend the throne or the gods see the earth was the one they called Tutankhamun. So they figure if they resurrect Akhenaten, the father can pull rank on the son. And then they was using the homosexual ritual to try to energetically, they call it Jacob's ladder, put him in power. It's a whole ritual they do on in a Masonic hall.
His brother or his alleged brother, whoever this is, he got a verified account with the Obama last name that they calling his brother be on Twitter, airing it out. He was also airing out the fact that Michelle was Michael. He was saying a lot of stuff. I was just surprised they didn't silence him. But
because nobody not gonna believe him.
Yeah, that's probably how they looked at it.
The media machine and the charisma that he had was the overriding appearance of legitimacy. When Trump challenged the birth certificate, if a person that's not born in America gets elected in the office, that's classified as a coup d'etat.
Yeah.
And it immediately suspends the act of government on the spot. This is the purpose of Trump challenging the birth certificate. The irony is the same people that they hired to validate the birth certificate invalidated it. The CIA agent showed you all of the points of falsification. So they called the lady that provided the birth certificate from Hawaii to come testify, and her plane crashed over the Pacific and she died accidentally.
You know how they do that? They famous for that. Oh, a random accident happened. Coincidentally.
Right. So his story is told in Hollywood. His conception as a test tube baby born in the laboratory is a movie called The Demon Seed. His birth is another movie called Rosemary's Baby. And his childhood upbringing is the Omen 1, 2, and 3, the original version.
Wow. That's the.
I did a whole video. Look, I did a whole video on YouTube called Obama 33 Points of Identification, where I went through the whole thing of who he was. The only thing I left out is the actor that taught him how to act like a president from Chicago.
Oh,
he had him shot.
The one that was writing his scripts.
Yeah.
Some of it was borrowed from. I did see that. That ran across my desk a couple of times. The one I was writing his scripts and even borrowed from old presidents. Like verbatim on top of that. That was crazy. Verbatim.
Yeah, because they was manufacturing the character to play the role of the president. It was the George Herbert Walker Bush CIA takeover of the government. They had to give us what they call 3 major knocks. It started with World Trade Center 1 in 91 when he first declared himself king. Then it was the federal building in Oklahoma City was knock 2 when he was sending the Clintons to rise to power. Then the final knock was the World Trade Center, and the anomaly was the Trade Center number 7. Number 7 didn't get hit by no plane, but it fell just like the other 2.
It was bombed.
It was to prove controlled demolition, and now that the CIA didn't release the reports, they didn't already identify the Bush, Cheney, and them as being conspirators in the 9/11 with the Mossad and the CIA working in collaboration. That's why all of the I can't say it, Dane, but
I know what you're saying.
About.
I know exactly
the special interest people that was in the World Trade Center was all moved within a month before it happened.
2 months before it happened. You right. You on it.
Yeah. So they got rid of all of them special interest people, and then they left all of the other people in there as what they call sacrificial lambs.
Yep.
And then they told us that the Pentagon got hit by a plane.
Right.
But the footage shows what they call a Scud missile.
Yeah. That was
and
hit.
Scud missile.
Don't forget all that money that came up missing out of there too.
Yeah, that's another thing. Cash money was gone.
It was actually bars of gold, and they actually still left 2 truckloads in the tunnels leaving the Trade Center because the explosion caused the tires to melt.
Yeah, they couldn't move. I remember that. They couldn't move.
Yeah. Then you had the lady, she was pale face, who did the demolition investigation, because in order for the metal to be molten, they needed thermite.
Yep.
And they found traces of thermite in the molten metal. And thermite is used to sever the beams in order to do a controlled demolition.
Correct. It's going to eat it up like acid.
Yeah, and it's going to liquefy it. So they go to all of the specialists trying to find out if there's any reason that thermite should have been at the World Trade Center, and all of them said the same thing. The only way thermite is present is if it's a controlled demolition. Now, here go the kicker. They able to trace the batch by chemical signature to where it was made and who made it, and it was found to come from the United States military.
Yep.
All this stuff are people seeing it, but they're not paying it no attention because it don't affect their day-to-day life. They want to know about get up and go to work in the morning, get these kids off to school. They don't have time to ask the hard questions about the anomalies they see in the stories that's being told to them in the public by the people who's supposed to be their government.
That's true.
But it's all there.
It be right in front of them. They hide some stuff, but not all of it. And some of the stuff that they hide be right in face. It be right there. Most of the stuff they don't hide. Some of the stuff that they do hide, they don't hide it good enough. It be right there on the surface. You could get it.
All these flooded cities, burnt down cities, blowed up cities, raided cities. This is all acts of war.
Absolutely.
And they only, now if you notice, all of them is classified as either Native American massacres or African American massacres. If you look them up on the map, they're going to form a signature that lets you know that it was planned. The way there's no haphazard to the layout of these major fires. And then we got to remember, in order to take the land, they was burning court records so that the person who owned the land, they could say, you don't own the land. They was burning courthouses up all through Mississippi, all through New Orleans,
a lot of states,
all through Alabama and Georgia, burning down courthouses and record halls and libraries in order to get rid of the evidence.
And they also said that they were trying to, when they was burning stuff up, that it was because of the war. I'm gonna be honest with you. We can pinpoint where they had these wars at. Okay, I'm talking about their location where they met up and had war. Why are they tapping libraries, this and this particular circuit building? And I'm like, come on, bro. Like they were nowhere near in a way. Why are you burning up these places purple? Yeah, but it was to hide the truth. Then all of a sudden the Latter-day Saints got the rest of the records and he hiding it in a cave in Utah.
Yep. When you put it in the public domain that you know where the cave at and that you're willing to be the research team, that seizes the records for us because you qualify by man hours, research hours to go through the paperwork. And then you have, once we get back into our jurisdictional supremacy, where we can override the corporation, then all of the organizations that do research can send you a support team. And they have to take the orders from you. How are we gonna organize this information to get it back out to the people? Because we got a lot of records in national parks across the land that once we realize that all of the records ain't lost, we can find out. Like, for instance, my grandfather land, my mother father, Hezekiah Johns from Magnolia, Mississippi. He used to own all of the land that's now all of those little cities in that cluster, Magnolia, Tylertown, Macomb, all of them, Sunflower, all them little cities. That was all my grandfather's personal farm until they took it. When my mama was a little girl, they took my grandfather land by having his widow offering her support and tricked her to sign papers that she ain't no planet. Right? So they tried to get lawyers to go in and fight it, but the system have something called collateral estoppel, where they was blocking them for recovering the land because of the squatters' rights and the salvage rights. So all that stuff was the admiralty way of stealing our property rights so that we could be displaced. Now we just have to claim it all back by doing certain stuff in the public. This is why Empress had to go to Philadelphia and sit where the matriarch of the land used to sit with the rest of the matriarchs when they used to be the longhouse making the law, because the ancestors put a curse in Philadelphia, which forced them to have to move to DC. This is what the whole move was about.
Wait a minute. Back up for him real quick. Let them know where first. Say it one more time, because let them know what you're talking about. Oh, there you go.
Okay, so in the early colonial America, the capital was in Philadelphia. The tribes, the tribal networks would all send matriarchal leadership to meet in Philadelphia. When they was looking to establish the corporate domain, they had to go head to head with this constitutional convention against the matriarchs that was in Philadelphia. Right? Now, how do you undo a curse? You have to claim what the curse was there to protect and offer the ancestors an offering to let them know that you're there for it, and they lift the curse. So while the Empress was reclaiming the seat, the highest political seat on the land, at the same time she was doing that, it was another tribal mother in another room channeling the curse. She was reiterating the curse that was being broke by the Empress sitting there by telling the curse that was put on the people who was usurping us on the land and was feeding us these lies. All this stuff is on video, Dane. So now she had to go to Delaware, first state incorporated, before she go to Philadelphia, before the incorporation was established. When they moved from Philadelphia to DC is when they inserted the secondary constitution written in the blood of Crispus Attucks to keep us into a 200-year conjure war. The conjure war required us to not use firearms, but to use education and erudition to educate ourselves out of the condition. And Noble Drew Ali identified that we was not capable of running government, so he was not in the position to move the government that was already in place because we hadn't educated enough leadership across the land to run the government. Now I can run this government by myself if we get rid of the imposters. And it's a whole lot more that can do it better than me, older than me, that know how to run government that's been displaced by the system. So now we can run government, we can assert the jurisdictional birthright. Elijah Muhammad said the devil got an extension, nobody knew what he was talking about. But if they go back to Tecumseh in the War 1812, this is what gave them an extension on the 200 years conjure, which brings us to 2012. From 1812 to 2012 is in 200 years, which nullified everything before that because we wasn't supposed to take them to bloody war. We were supposed to educate ourselves out the condition. That's why they blocked the institutions of learning. Now that we know everything, we can tell the story to the clan so they could see what was done. Once they become aware, it breaks the hold of the mystery of the I call it the David Copperfield trip, because it's an illusion. They told you in Wizard of Oz it was an illusion, but you didn't know that they was telling you the story in Hollywood. You thought you was just being entertained.
I'm going to piggyback off of that to let them know that at that point, y'all should remember one of my Easter Egg Sunday videos when I was referring to that Pup magazine. It was the Pup magazine watercolor picture where they had the personification of the U.S., but it was Uncle Sam teaching a class. And y'all saw a class sitting far right? They had the Negro washing the window, and they had the Indian sitting down near the doorway, and he's reading a CBA, but that's upside down. And in the front, he's teaching the class, and all the rest of the class that's sitting, closest to Uncle Sam were particular areas of South America, Central and South America, mainly South America. But what he was teaching them was self-government. So what Rod, to piggyback on what Rod was talking about, they wanted to initially say, all right, y'all go ahead and do it on yourselves. We're going to have ours too. But that was the whole gimmick, to make pretend like everybody was going to have their own going on. But somebody else wanted to have their own overall, meaning one government controlling all these other places. And that wasn't the deal at first, but that's what eventually happened. It amounted to that. And that's why, like, for example, when he mentioned Noble Drew Ali saying that we couldn't teach ourselves the government, is because the fact that they didn't want us to know. Even though we had it at first. All we need to do is go back to what we had.
Now remember, they made it illegal for us to learn how to read and write. You gotta remember that part.
And then how did we get so rich?
We was already rich.
But no, Rod, they said we were slaves, Rod. They say we were slaves.
I don't ascribe to that doctrine. I ascribe to the reality of the fact we were prisoners of war. I'm part of the 1492 to present Homeland Security 500-year protracted struggle of the Gullah Geechee that called us to war when Big Mama called us to fight in Florida to fend off the Spanish Armada, who decided that we was runaway slaves that joined on with some other chiefs. And all the time we was Mississippians from the Mississippi Navy. They called us frogmen. And we was Sobek priests that rode alligators, so they had to start gator baiting to get the gators a taste for the flesh of the native, because we used to live in harmony with them. They got all these pictures of us. We used to ride the alligator all through the bayous of Louisiana, all through the swamps in Florida, and they had to burn down and chop down all the cypress trees because we was attacking them from the treetops. They couldn't handle that.
And the
so
mountains.
If you go through Florida right now, take 75 south into the Keys, and you see all them charred trees because they was burning the land. They was scorching the earth literally to try to get us out of the thicket that they couldn't come in and win that war. That's why the Gullah Geechee never lost. They call it the Seminole Wars. We call them the Gullah Wars.
Ooh, hold up.
It's the same war told from two different sides of the goddamn field.
Oh, Topcast, get in this, Topcast. Get in this. This is he. Hold on, I know he eating too. I know he over.
I'm here.
You get okay. All right. My bad. If you putting that fork down, I'm sorry because I know it's late.
I just got to eating, so you on point.
All right, let's get it.
Yeah, turn up. That's definitely that's a fact right there too. I just left out of similar territory down there in Florida. This weekend just passed. And a lot that they had going on down there, those people that they had there now is implants. Those are implants, and if anybody arguing that fact, I mean, when we look at the history now I did hear y'all say that, as far as what they say we were slaves, but what they ain't tell us that we were the slave owners too. So yeah, we were the landowners. So when they looking on paper, most people, if you'll find a slave in your family, I guarantee you it's not gonna be you in a situation of someone has you someone got you in a home or in a yard, and this ain't where you want to be.
In a shack and all that. Yeah.
It's our family. I have slave records on the slave schedule. I found my 5th grade grandma on there. Well, her slave master only had one slave, which was her, and her slave master just so happened to be her husband. Well, I wouldn't say her husband because a lot of times in those states, those situations, a lot of times they wouldn't be married. But in this case, they were married. It was her husband. So in the state of Texas, when they left South Carolina, came here, he registered as a slave. But they lived on, they owned the plantation. They owned the plantation, owned the cemetery. Like I say, to this day, we have 3 historical cemeteries in the state of Texas, because when Texas came into origin, our family was already here. I already had their land here. So she documented as a slave. So a lot of times we see it, the slave gonna be your family and the slave master is gonna be your family as well. That's why the plantations were our surnames. We still have the same name as these plantations of the land that we coming from. So a lot of times when you hear in history, they'll tell you, the slave he left, became a free man, and came back and bought the property that his slave master died and left him land. So in one sense, you're gonna tell me that the man is so heartless that he'll take a human being against their will and force them to do free labor. And then on another note, you'll tell me, well, before he died, he left in his will to get a property out.
Talk, bruh.
Here goes something that a lot of people don't know, Top Cat, that goes directly to what you're saying, right? The sweetheart swindle of the dirty Moors, right? You see now this the Wonder, the Flower Moon or something like that. That new movie came out about how they was marrying the Osage women to wrestle the property right from them.
Man, they manipulated that story. I saw it. They manipulated that story, but it is true. But it wasn't. They trying to say that they were making them sick by giving them needles, and that's not what happened. But go ahead.
Anyway, so the big house used to be Big Mama house. Big Mama house was always marked by a picket fence wraparound porch. The purpose of the picket fence wraparound porch is for the grandbabies to crawl around outside in the summertime and grandma sit in a rocking chair and watch over them. Now, when the sweetheart swindle come into play, the old slickster come to town with his pretty smile, slide up on Big Mama because she been a widow, because she probably was 14 when she married her 75-year-old husband. And he was the one Big Papa that overseen land, but he died when she was 30. She's still young. So he's sliding up on the Big Mama and waiting her out on the right time to poison her so he can take over the family plot.
Wait, stop right there. Listen, y'all. Poison them. He's sitting right there. This old white scallywag sitting right there.
No, most of them look like us. Most of them look like us.
People. Yeah, they just our kinfolk ain't kinfolk.
Nah, I mean, the majority of the people that took the land that route. I'm not going to sit here and state that it wasn't people that looked like you or not that did that, but that idea came from them white folk, especially. The majority of those lands, those territories that they naming, is straight up gonna be white folks attached to their family.
I'm about to tell you how that happened, though, Dane.
They just they killed them.
Just watch the flow of the land transfer. Watch how it play out, though. So now he didn't poison Big Mama. He go hire the Smiths. The Smiths paleface. He hired the Smiths as farm managers.
Lawyers.
The Smiths come in and tell everybody that the country at war. Right? Matter of fact, I don't know if you want to do this, but it's a little clip on YouTube. It's called the Jones Plantation. Give you the exact rundown of how the house Negro, the one whose sweetheart swindled Big Mama and poisoned her, hired the paleface to pretend to be the bad guy. This is why we didn't like the house nigga. And it had nothing to do with him getting privilege of being in the house and him being light-skinned, because most of them was darker than everybody in the field. So now he hired the Smiths to come in as the governors of the plantation, which was actually started off as the family farm. And then they tell all of the people in the family that's on the farm that we at war, and if you leave, that they gonna catch you and put you in the bondage. This to keep you from running away from the plantation.
Yeah.
But the plantation all the time was the family's home.
That's correct.
This is why we wasn't running away.
Everything was there.
Realized, it took us a while to realize that something was going on up in the house that didn't make sense to us in the field. Them country boys is a quick study. So what was the first thing we did when we got ready to take over the plantation? We killed the house nigga. Because he was the one who had stole the birthright from Big Mama in the first place. And he put these pale faces up to act like they were some educated people from Europe that came in specialists to run the plantation while the country was at war and to make it more efficient. That's why you always see in the movies, it ain't pale faces whooping the brothers most of the time. Think about it. They've been playing the story in front of our face the whole time.
I'm hip. I knew that was going on, but I'm talking about in a large mass, that idea of them poisoning them Big Mamas definitely came from the pale faces. Definitely.
But see, watch this here, Dane, because at the time, the most land that was taken from 1861 up into the 1960s. We'll just start there from 1861 up until 1961. We'll do that. So most of the land that was taken in, when we see the uprisings and them burning it down, that'll start in 1898. All this is happening after the 1877, what they like to call the end of the Reconstruction era. Once they said they took the military support out of there. Up until that, this whole part of the story is our story. Nobody else you can't even put certain characters in the story because it's all of us. But if we go back a little further, we still gotta look at the immigration population that was coming here, which was these dark-skinned niggas or these black Europeans that was coming here. Now they had these mindsets.
Look, pale faces didn't start coming over in mass until the Ellis Island immigration.
Yeah, right on. So that's why we
got pictures of them coming over in mass on ships.
That's correct. I showed them that.
That's why we see the conflicts that happen, like over skin color or the white man being put against. Well, them happened through the labels, because in 1898, same time that they coming in with this here, you also had the Curtis Act that year too, which came and backdoored and took the rest of the land that the Dawes Commission didn't take. So the Curtis Act came, and then they end up really putting the number down and get it. Then you have the Reorganization Act. But in the 1920s, the 1919, these eras of what they call the Red Summers, this is when we had these conflicts on, like Tulsa, Oklahoma, 1921. These are the conflicts we're having when they're breaking down our towns, where we was having our sanctuaries at. This never in history before then we'll see that. We'll see them hang a landowner, but I'm talking about coming to attack a whole city like this at a move that it didn't happen to the 20th century. So now at this time we see the white faces, but it's all we got to remember, it's coming through Freemasonry, because all the land grabs that happened, 1803 land grab in Georgia, the 1807 what they call the lottery, the lotteries,
the land lottery.
These land lotteries. This is when we start seeing it then. That's how the Choctaw lost after the Civil War. Then their Civil War, not 1860. But after they lose this here, then we see the land being broken down. Well, 100 years after that, now we see the characters in the place, and now we see the white faces coming in. But every treaty that was signed that gave seized land came from a Freemason. So we know that this all came out of the Lords. And back though, when they used the immigrants against our people in the early 20th century for these same reasons, that's when the birth of blacks against the whites. But Reconstruction had already came in. What you say, they used the pale faces to take our people out of the institutions. That's why we seen a lot of our people be reduced from a job, and they'll place the white man in there. And you just got through training this nigga. You just trained this nigga for the last 4 years, and now you train him to take your job. And so all of this here, that's why the cadets at the Buffalo Soldiers in the 1920s, they got they have a statue of them because they taught white cadets the art of military. And who are these white cadets? Well, they these immigrants that's coming over here who been given our names, who we've been trying to break down and bring them into the culture all the way up until today. In the 80s, they were saying white men can't jump, white people can't sing, white people can't dance, white people can't cook. And then now today, niggas is taking recipes from them off TikTok. Yeah, it's a cold game.
Yeah, they been flipped the script. They flipped the script. Like 1850s is when it really happened, when those white folks started coming over here. You right about the 1890s. That's really when they implemented white supremacy. 1890s.
Okay, now people like
when the Civil War, when old boy was sitting there and his gun was bigger than the white boy gun.
Yeah.
His knife was bigger than the white boy. He had the killer and the white boy looking like he was scared. These type of things let us know who's in charge, especially when now we come back. We can prove that Robert E. Lee was a Negro. Robert E. Lee was a Negro. Robert E. Lee come up under George Washington now. His daddy was, when George Washington came into the U.S. Army, Robert E. Lee daddy was there because George Washington was smashing his grandma. Robert E. Lee ended up marrying George Washington's granddaughter, who came from George Washington's son.
You might be right. He still might have married his grandson and they called him a daughter. You don't never know with these people.
Yeah, see, his name was George Washington. His son was George Washington Cuttis, Cutis. And they end up, the land, George Washington gave him the land. They said George Washington was sterile. Why? Because all his kids was niggas. So they tried to say that George Washington Cuttis was his baby mama, was George Washington's wife, son before the marriage. But George Washington paid for his schooling. The land that he ended up taking, George Washington gave it to him. That became Robert E. Lee, and George Washington cut his daughter land. It became what they called a freedman village to what they called before the USCT. They called them country band. It turned into what was a freedman village, where all of these Indians who came from these different ports into Virginia to come fight in the war. They settled on the outskirts of their camps. They became their cooks. They became the map makers. They became the interpreters because of the different forms of English that people spoke. Whether it was hard English, you know what I'm saying, they sped up English, these different things.
Yeah.
They were the interpreters for them. They were the cooks. So that land, like people like that, Robert E. Like we said, Robert E. Lee, even homie from the signed the General Field Order down in Georgia. These people, because my family fought under him. He changed his name to Williams. He went to South Carolina, and they hung him after the war. But he was like a general, and he fought directly under Sherman. My bad, Sherman was a nigga. My family fought directly under Sherman, next man in charge. He left after the war, went back to South Carolina. The Ku Klux Klan hung him. Wouldn't even know Ku Klux Klan deep like that in South Carolina. But they pulled up 70 deep and hung that nigga. Cause he was,
you know where they originate, right?
The Klan to Pulaski, Tennessee.
Nope, they originated in Spain. Look, this is where you get the black hand from. The original Klan outfits come from the Black Brotherhood of Spain. It said different in Spanish, but it means the Black Brotherhood of Spain. These was Moors. And the one who used to lead the slave raid, he had a hand like ours, so they used to call him the Black Hand. But he used to lead a bunch of pale faces in the raids in the villages. Go back to the movie of Emmett Till, you're going to see some Negroes getting Emmett Till with some pale faces, because the Negroes the ones who wanted him dead. See, Emmett Till was going to be Chief Littlehorn, who was going to be whistling Dixie to call all of the tribes of the South to war. He ain't know who he was yet. They heard him whistling Dixie because he heard his uncle whistling, and they wanted to kill him, and they needed an excuse, so they threw the pale-faced lady out there. But when you go back to the story, it was some Negroes that went and got him out of his house, talking about they trying to protect the community. The Black Hand has always been Negroes that used to lead the KKK raids. When the Ellis Island immigration came, they was instructed to take over the KKK from the Black Hands that ran it. It was a secret society. The KKK was a Masonic order. A lot of us don't know that. It was the same as any other Masonic brotherhood, and it was started by the Black Brotherhood of Spain. That's where they got their outfits from and their ranking titles: Grand Dragon, the Grand Wizard, Supreme Grand Dragon. All that come from over there. And so when they end up taking over, so the first wave that came over here, the Dirty Moors, that called themselves Dutch, Portuguese, French, English, Spanish, German, and Italians, came over here after they got kicked out of Europe. You got to know who they had been fighting in the 1,000 years leading up to that, because you'll know who their slave class was when they tell us in the history books they brought their servants with them. They was capturing Mongolians, Huns, and Vedics, because that's who the Roman empires was fighting up until that time. So their slave class was Mongolians. So they brought them over here and started teaching them our culture in some stuff called Indian schools. When you go look at the Indian schools, we thinking that they was teaching them how to be Indians, how to be Americans, but they was teaching Mongolians how to practice our culture and pretend to be us. This is the prelude to the switching us out under Andrew Jackson and the Dawes Road. The president was declaring these people chiefs to sign treaties. Like Chief, White Wolf? You look him up, old wrinkled up cracker, right? They declared him the chief. He ain't no organic chief from the land. He was a made chief by the system in order to be eligible to sign treaties, they recognized him as a chief. But you know a real chief from a fake chief, because the fake chief gonna give up land and the real chief not gonna give up land. Because we believe that's like selling your mama or your child, and we will hurt you about ours. But the people that came over here sell theirs.
Some of them up north did give up their land for well, I'm not going to say money, but it was something similar to money. They were made promises. I'm talking about even chiefs that look like you and I were made promises that the government didn't keep.
You talking about like the Manhattan deal?
Right, like the Manhattan deal. Well, actually, Manhattan in general, the whole thing.
But remember, when we start calling them on the land, because we used to tell them we can't sell you the land, but we can let you come here and work on the land, and they took that as a cause for them to own the land.
Well, see, another thing is that they were told to take the land, land of the free. They were told to take the land. Doctrine of Discovery. They literally wanted to come take it. What'd you say, Top Cat?
I want to throw this in there too. One of the earliest books that was wrote on the slave trade was about the Indian slave trade. There's no African slave trade or nothing. But me saying that is, when we looking into it, this is in Massachusetts. And what's going on is Indians are in total control. They're in control of where the tribe is going to be relocated to, and they will keep many of the captured people if they have enough land. So a lot of the times, if we ain't got enough land, and I want to keep them because this here is a productive, you know what I'm saying? These were skilled people. Well, they'll go back and take land, and man, they need somewhere to put them. So what I see is this shit was, my bad, it was more organized than what they try to tell us. So these islands in the West Indies and things like that, where they were sending them to, this was an extension of theirs, because the chiefs that were in control, like in one case you had, let's say 10 chiefs, and this war, they done ran down on these people. Once the job is done, once they done secured the perimeter, well, they're gonna pass them out to the chiefs according to who has the most occupancy for them, who has the most land, and who can, you feel me? So more organized.
Yeah, who can take care of the most people.
Facts. So, but when we see in the European,
that's tribal culture.
Let's say they have 2,000 from this tribe or collectively that they just put together. Well, the European, he can only send 100 to 150 men. When we look at the Tuscarora War, we see 1,000 Indians on the battlefield, and we don't even see 100 Europeans. So
right.
When looking into this story, it's never the European in charge. Now, one thing I say about that is when we look at these Europeans, they wear the same shirt names as us that we wear today. Somebody came along and told us that the names that we're wearing are names of the Europeans.
And that's cap.
So we outnumbered them. We had to land here. These names that Europeans came over, they didn't even have these same names. If anybody ever went further enough back into their genealogy, you would see the name. You probably wouldn't even recognize the name if you're looking at it. Once they start saying that these names of these people are coming from Europe, no different than when we look at Ellis Island, the people that are coming in, their names aren't matching the same. How do we know that? Because right now there's an ongoing, these people that's coming from Europe that came through Ellis Island, they're arguing that their names were changed by the people once they got here. And right now they're saying no one names was changed but the small hats, the ooze, right? And they're saying that's because they wanted them changed. But the ooze came here and took on our names as well in the 20th century, not the Sephardics, the dark skins, but the pale ones. So again, when we go back, never in the story do we see the European in charge. Now what's taking place is these people that are coming back, like when they built the U.S., when they came into that 1758, you had the Treaty of Easton where they met up in Philadelphia, started putting a play together. After the 7-Year War, they'll start coming into creating this lane for them. You got the Continental Congress, which was founded by Indians as well, and then we're coming to the U.S. creating their government. this whole time, Indians were present. Indians wrote the Constitution.
Yeah.
Indians, the style of government that they adopted came from the great
Iroquois Confederation.
Right, from the Iroquois Confederation, the Great Law of Peace. So all of these forms of their form of government, all of this here is ours. So
always has
we have
been.
to understand that the story. That's why when they telling the story, they can only talk about us because they're in our house. When they talking about record keeping or anything like this here forms of government, if anything was gonna change, it would have been changed. What we see is them, the ones that are coming over. Well, they're coming into our house. They're abiding by our rules, our principles. That's how we're still able to find ourselves through the culture here, because the culture never changed. Now it's changing. You feel me? But before we were at the realm. That's why when you look up, like he just said, the Oscars were named after us. All the sports, all of these different things, all of this here was still our culture.
Different sports teams, yep.
Yeah, our last map was the culture. That was the last thing that we was holding on to, that we can actually connect to, since they took our mind. You know what I'm saying? They took our mind and tried to take it somewhere.
I'm gonna be real. The culture is still here. It's just that more foreigners adopted our culture and they wanted to fit in.
We can't even notice ourselves in it. Like I was saying earlier.
I'm just saying.
With the music and these different things like that. Now,
and we allowing it.
And we don't even own the culture to a fact they'll come out here and convince you that Eminem is the greatest rapper that ever lived.
Yeah, I can't believe people saying that. They saying Eminem is the best rapper.
But
like,
this is a way for them taking our culture
crazy.
right now. They're arguing the fact that Luka in Dallas is the face of the league now. You know what I mean? Like, he wouldn't be in the position he was in if it wasn't for Kyrie on that team. Why he ain't do that last year? Why he ain't just got to the league? He ain't no rookie. Why haven't he accomplished so much as he has, or made it as far as he has in his career without the American Indian on his team?
Man.
Remember this, man. Remember this. The Great White Hope. What's the purpose of the Great White Hope? If you go back and you look through the history of the world, everywhere you found the standard of beauty before the doctrine of white supremacy, it was us. Everywhere that you found a standard of moral, pristine purity in the people, it was us. If you got a new addition to the human family, and they got to go through a catharsis, they have to burn off their negative lower nature, and they have to have a drop of blood of the ones who already did it, so they can learn how to be civilized. This is your melding pot, one drop of blood purpose. This is God's country. That's what they say. If this is God's country, and it's also called the crucible of God, what do you do with a crucible? You meld metals together. We use the platinum group metals to identify different strains of humanity, what they call root races.
And I could attest to the fact that he's right about the this is God's country, because they will have that up on white picket looking signs out in the, like when I went down there and I traveled down to the Virginia, Southampton, Virginia. Shout out to Virginia. When I was doing my story on Nat Turner, all of those signs that I was passing said this is God's country. In fact, one of my vlogs showed y'all that when I think I was either in Jerusalem or outside of Jerusalem. I think it was right before we went to Jerusalem. It had that sign that said this is God's country. That they got that all over the South though. I thought it was just Virginia, but it's all over the South.
Okay, now remember this, Dane. They always been saying ever since the Civil War that the South was gonna do what?
Rise again.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Separate themselves. Secede.
No, it's not really to separate themselves. Remember, a lot of us is unaware that the Confederate Army was the Iroquois Confederation, and that the Continental Congress is the regrouping after the war of the Iroquois nations that was in treaty with other tribes, that was not in treaty with Europe. This is what the Civil War was about, is the tribes that in the South that didn't want to do business with those who was doing business with the English crown, with the French crown, and the Spanish crown. So because they didn't want to do business, the ones in the North decided to take them over by force for economic reasons. It had nothing to do with what we call in today slavery. That's the historical narrative to try to make us feel like we came on some damn ships from somewhere else, so we won't ever stand up and say we was already here. This is my land and this is where I'm from. When you talk about the land of the free and the home of the brave, I'm brave enough to tell you that I'm going to be free on my own land, and you can take your police state and march your policy and forces back to London where they chartered at, because they not chartered over here and none of them is registered under the Foreign Agent Act.
Virginia Company of London. Virginia Company of London did the charter. That's right.
Yeah. So now,
actually, 4 of them. They did 4 charters to be exact.
Mm-hmm. Okay, now if the police is not chartered over here, the corporation known as the United States Charter is not held by nobody from over here. Right? They making all of these chartered corporations, but we don't have any input. That means it has nothing to do with us.
It's null and void. It's null and void. It has nothing to do with us.
It's a de facto system.
Yeah.
The only reason why they continue to last as long is because it's a uniform system that make them appear to be more legitimate than the actual people from the land.
Illusion.
So you go back to what Martin Luther King said, they got us out organized. By them wearing their uniforms and everything they do, that give us the appearance of legitimacy. It's also known in medicine as the white coat syndrome. Whatever the doctor say is the truth. I don't care who else say anything else. My doctor told me.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I know.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So it's the same with the uniform. The police, the postman, the waterman, they all wear uniforms to look like they the legitimate people of the land. It's one way that you're going to always know that the people that appear to be legitimate is not. And it's this little 3-letter word called tax. Remember, they told us that the American Revolution was sparked because of 2% tax on teeth. Now they tax us every time we turn around, and then they even tax the dollars that we taxed on. And now with inflation and taxation combined, it's a gradual whittling away of your wealth. So you can never accumulate enough wealth to go against the machine. It's a monopoly game where you being robbed and don't know it because you don't know how they playing their game.
I agree on the monopoly side too. That's definitely a game that they've been playing. I mean, this is the reason why they created that paper dollar and told you to worship it as if it holds any value when it's worthless.
We see what BRICS doing.
I
said we see what BRICS doing. We see these other nations getting together. They don't even accept the US dollar no more.
Not at all.
Yeah, so,
and listen,
it's worthless.
You use bricks to build a dam, to dam the dollar back home. All of the BRICS nation is damming the dollar back, pushing it back to the home. Once it get back home, it's a problem. All they got to do is take the oil from being traded in the US dollar, and now it has no use anywhere in the world but at home. Then Saudi Arabia.
There you go. That's what I was about to say. Turn up.
Yep. Saudi Arabia just recently declared that they would no longer allow that their oil to be traded in US dollars, and where Saudi oil trade go, that's where all oil trade go.
Wow. And they needed that. Dubai even turned them down now. Dubai ain't accepting no more.
They're in trouble.
They're in big trouble.
It's about to happen. The great fall is happening. It's time for us to step up. Take our spot.
So the fall of the central banks, you got to remember, a lot of us don't know about economic hitmen. What they told us was bank robbing outlaws was robbing tribal banks, but we called them big mama banks, where we kept the gold that secured the people from the town that they from. You used to be able to go from Chicago with no money, and when you get to Miami, you could go to the local big mama, tell her where you from and who your big mama is, and she would be able to supply you whatever you need while you there. But when they start robbing all of the banks, they was trying to set up something called a FDIC insurance program and they was trying to set up a Federal Reserve central banking system and get the tribes from having family banks, because that's what the big mama banks is, the family banks. So once they started shutting down all of the banks, this is why you had your Rosewood bombing, your Oklahoma City bombing, Tulsa, Oklahoma bombings, all these bombings that they was bombing our communities and business districts was to destabilize us economically, to force us to rely on the central banking system in the U.S. dollar. They didn't get successful until 1913 with the Federal Reserve Act, the Buck Act, the Internal Revenue Act, the Birth Certificate Act. All these things were systematically placed into the corporate law system so that they can use it to create straw men in our name. And
all 1900s, by the way.
To do business as us. But then they turned around after the bankruptcy, I think it was House Resolution 192, and say that there's no money, so we have to discharge all debt. You know what I'm talking about, Top Cat?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so this was the when they really tricked us, because after that, I think that came out in 1931, was it? The
1929. Which one?
The HR 192.
Okay, no.
Discharge all debts to the government. So the government supposed to be paying all of our debts. Then why is they taxing all of our wealth?
People became citizens.
The stock market crashed September 4th, 1929, if I'm not mistaken.
Right. And they filed bankruptcy in January of 1930, and they settled the bankruptcy. I think it was in 1931 or 1932. Could have been 33. But it came out as House Resolution 1, or was it SB 192, Senate Bill 192, or 191. I forget which one it was, but it was to discharge all debts to the government. That means that if you needed something, you go in the store, you write a promissory note, and the cashier take the promissory note, and they send it to the county treasurer, who then cashes it in with the Federal Reserve. So what they did was, the receipt was supposed to be the check. And when they gave us the receipt, that was the verification that they had cashed the check. But now they asked us for Federal Reserve notes before they could cash the check on our behalf, and then they never share any of the check that they cashed that we supposed to spend. Every time you go to the store and you think you spending money, they using that in fractional reserve currency. You spent $1, but they borrowed $100 against that dollar. It's fractional reserve banking is what it's called. When you look it up, it explains to you how they use $1 or $10 to generate phantom $90 on, right? So now this is where the inflation come in that decreases the purchasing power, because all of it is artificial, and this is why you can inflate it. You inflate the value of the product that deflates the value in the currency that you're using for the exchange.
Simultaneously, it's happening purposely.
And this is why you always had to have somebody from the Fed, like an Alan Greenspan, come out and publicly adjust the interest rate, so that you will know what the interest rate is that's being traded in your name under the fractional reserve banking system of the Federal Reserve. This is the secret of the temple. And the temple is the Federal Reserve Bank. Right? So they were using Babylonian money magic the whole time to steal our wealth by giving us the illusion of having money, when all we have is promissory notes, a whole bunch of IOUs with fancy writing on it and pictures of dead people. I don't even know if they dead people. I'm more inclined to say pictures of fictitious characters. Cartoons.
There you go. Cartoon characters.
I do know it was at least 3 George Washingtons, because they said one was born in Virginia, one was born in Barbados, and one was born in France. But I do find that the doctrines of The Virginia doctrine is called Morals and Dogma. The French doctrine is called Protocols of Zion. And the Washita doctrine stems from the Washingtons out of the natives from Barbados and southern United States, the Washita clans. So they trying to cover up the real George Washington with the fictitious character used to usurp the people under the founding father doctrine of patriarchy.
Yeah, see, Oprah had invited a family on to Thomas Jefferson, and it was some people that looked like us was there in representation, and you know, and they had a white pale couple there who said that they never was asked to produce any evidence that they were descendants of Thomas Jefferson, but on the other side, our people, they walked them back through genealogy and said, the lady said, I grew up in a household with my mother's mother, and my grandmother's mother. So she had 4 generations in her house. And it was common knowledge to them because the great grandma was the grandchild of the daughter to Thomas Jefferson. So they had a direct connection from him down. Well, George Washington family also came out, and they also look like us. And there's pictures all over the internet. Y'all pull up George Washington Black family or whatever. So you had West, who was his son, and you also had, like I said, George Washington Curtis. But when you're dealing with the first treasurer of Alexander Hamilton had a son called Michael Hamilton. And he was one of the, what they call, quote unquote, the black leaders of his day. They all went to the school in New York. Who else? The guy that killed him was, y'all help me out. What was his name? The guy that killed Alexander Hamilton. They did the duel or whatever.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I don't remember his name though.
Aaron or something like it. It'll come to me. Well, he named as his dad. His daddy actually created, was it Harvard or Yale? One of those. But what was interesting is it's the story of this student. She ended up getting a tuition to go to school there. And she came back to her dorm one day, to her room, and a note was under her door. The note told her that it was a family meeting going down that she needed to come to. Aaron Burr, my bad, his name was Aaron Burr. So her last name she was a Burr. Well, she opened it up. She disregarded it. She like, oh, they ain't talking about me. She said, first thing I did, looked at my skin color. And I said, nah, they ain't talking to me. Well, the note came back again and said, every people of this family, it is mandatory that you come to this meeting. The meeting was to let her know. She coming directly from the bloodline, but she didn't think it was a connection there because these cartoon characters are fictional characters like you were speaking of. We don't understand. We are the people in this history. They didn't whitewashed it and turned it around, but a lot of us are descendants. Right now, I can pull up right now, George Washington Abraham Lincoln grandma is my 6th great grandma. Abraham Lincoln grandma, Nancy Hanks, is my 6th great grandmother. I can pull it up, direct line off my mom and dad's side. Direct line, I can pull it up. Before Baltimore became Baltimore, they had a town down there called Sparrows Point, where the bridge collapsed there, where the bridge is happening there. That come from the family Virginia. So they'll like to tell you that the Abraham Lincoln, you're not a direct relative to Abraham Lincoln if you didn't come from Virginia. If you're not with the line that come out of Virginia. Well, that line come directly out of Virginia to Kentucky. I can put you on the phone with my great aunt, and she breaking it down to me that that's an Indian name, and and so they left out of Kentucky and came down this way. But direct line.
So did Abraham Lincoln.
Abraham Lincoln, he was a nigga too. His son, he another one. He had children that looked like us. His vice president was Hannibal Hamilton. He also looked like us. You can look up
he came out with a book and talked about that. Wait, was it his vice president or one of his handlers?
His vice president was Hannibal Hamilton. And they made a lot of posters about him asking Lincoln how much he want for the Negro boy and all of this type of
they
stuff.
were trying to make fun of it.
Right. And then you had Abraham Africanus. Those are the little pamphlets that the Nicer Golden Circle put out. Nicer Golden Circle was founded by Albert Pike and the guy Manzini, who started the Italian Mafia. That's where the relationship between the Mafia and the Freemasons. So the Mafia were directly with them, and they were implants as well. That's another thing. They were immigrants coming out the boat. Yep. A lot of them was implants that was put in place. And we seen they even had political power, as we see with Lucky Luciano. They took him out of jail. The United States needed his help to help with the docks and things like this here. Ryan, you can touch on that. If, I know you got some mafia history over there. You coming out from up that way. By these
so you had different families in the different cities that was coming from Italy. When you trace the mafia back, La Cosa Nostra, La Familia, the mafia is the family that comes out of Sicily. And these was heavily melanated people at first. And then they began to marry with what they call the Neapolitan Italians, which was the ones from the boot. And this is where you get your modern day families that came over here to set up shop, right? But we made alliances with them too. The different families, especially in New York, because we needed that kind of muscle power. Take everything back.
Okay, there you go. Your phone ducked out.
Somebody had called in.
But by the way, those Europeans was looking at the lottery up there in New York. They were trying to peep out what we were doing. The lottery, that's what they were looking at. They saw that we were pulling in. They wanted to get involved in that. You said you had to do something? You had to take that call?
Yeah, they probably had to take the call.
Yeah, but that was, and then Mafia started getting into bootlegging
numbers, and we called it the numbers, running numbers.
Running up, that was the lottery, running numbers.
Because they came through the Indian trails.
Yeah.
Every bootleg, when they brought out Prohibition, and they had the bootleg, and they was running them routes coming out of Canada and all that, upstate and all of that. All of these places, I could put it on my grandma. Down in Livingston, Texas, down there, they got a spot called Indian Village down there. I could put it on there, and she could tell you about how her daddy and them used to run the booze in the back all the way up there. He'll take you out in the woods. You had to go down in the woods. They stayed down by the water. They used to keep all that, make it by themselves, everything. And they were straight Indians. They come out the Civil War. They fought in the Civil War, everything down in Texas and Arkansas in the Civil War. But they was running booze down there. I'm like, man, that's crazy. Yeah, she told me how dad and them used to cook it up back there.
Yeah, even my family members was involved in that as well. I mean, I heard stories from a few of my family members. I ain't trying to get nobody in trouble, but they were doing their thing. I mean, I guess it's statute of limitation now, but they were doing it inside of.
I'm keeping them gone.
They were doing inside of the tubs. And making the. I was like, damn, man. I mean, but they were bootlegging, and this is another reason why you saw it amount to people taking that liquor or whatever you want to call it, that alcohol per se, and then start throwing it in their cars or making their cars a little bit faster to get away from the police. Like, for example, all the mafia people got that idea from our folks because our folks was running that game at that time. And I say mafia people, but it was a lot of Italians and I'm missing somebody else. It was Italians and they're gonna say Safari Jews, but it's
Irish.
Irish, yeah, the Irish for sure. But yeah, that just running that game, and then some of it was above ground, some of it was underground, of course. How they know those spots underground and they just getting over here, man. Of course, that was our folk at first. There ain't nobody gonna know about them underground tunnels like that and get away and, they just built those tunnels. Nah, them tunnels been there, man. But they had to learn from our people how to make it happen, and they get them all across the city and wherever they located. Some of them that was above ground was, they was throwing that alcohol in their cars, getting away from the police. Moonshine. Matter of fact, certain people still using it today, but it's called what's 89 called now? Ethanol.
Yeah, bathtub brew and things like that. Yeah, now they still down there. White lightning.
White lightning. Yeah, that was another one.
Yeah,
that's what my grandfather used to drink.
Yeah, they made the blues off of that down in the Delta, down in Mississippi. They made the blues off that white lightning.
Man,
match off of it. Still today in the country, my people in East Texas, they not gonna let you take more than 2 sips off of it. Nah, that's not happening.
Damn.
Nah, you can't sit down and pour a cup or none of that. They gonna monitor you on that. It's straight drop.
But my grandfather used to get big bottles of them junks.
Yeah, see, they can handle it.
Yeah.
Well, we got to monitor you down here, man.
I wouldn't touch it. I wouldn't touch it, man.
It's like a tradition, though. It's almost like a tradition. So
he let me taste it, but I ain't gonna be to the point where I'm gonna go buy it. You know what I'm saying?
You gonna have to, like, if they hand you the bottle, you gotta,
be
automatic. But again, like I say, they ain't gonna let you go too far. You can get you at least 2 swigs out of there. But
that's all you need.
Yeah, they ain't gonna let you go too far.
I'm talking about my grandfather, the way he used to do it. Basically, a couple of my family members, the way they used to do it, you couldn't even tell they was drunk. They used to drink though, drink. But drink. I don't know, man. I wouldn't even put myself up to that, to be like, oh yeah, I can hang. You know what I'm saying? I can't, nah.
Cowboy, you wear that to war, you get on that, go to war, so you don't feel the musket ball in your arm or the blade that it hits you.
Yeah, now that's something different. You taking it as medicine, for example, that's like, that's better than morphine from what I hear. Like, I wouldn't even.
Yeah, that's why you see the old films, they pour alcohol on the wound.
They pour it on the wound and they drink it. They sure do, man. Clean that up. Damn, that thing probably stinging. Nah, man. If I had to, I had to. That was the only thing I need. I had, and it's right there. Then yeah, I do it. That's survival. Survival tactics will kick in. Oh man, hold on. Did he just text me? Hold on, I gotta throw my glasses on. I don't know if he had trouble with it. Oh, he asking, can you send a link to his phone again? Wait a minute. Hold up, y'all. Wait a minute. Yeah, we been going. Oh man, look. Wait a minute. Hold up. Let me see. 3 hours, 14. I told y'all. 3 hours. It's crazy, man. But I just definitely wanted y'all to, okay, he gonna do it. Okay, I just got that message. I just wanted y'all to know, you know what I'm saying? 3 brothers, we coming together. We came together, you know what I'm saying? And for the right cause, for the right reasons, and doing the right things. And about exposing it. And of course, you're gonna hear different things from us, how people doing it in different takes. But it's mainly, I'm gonna say it's practically the same thing. Some of that you may have heard for the first time from me, from Top Cats, or from Rod. But at the same time, it all still correlate. Like we could, you'll be able to probably go back on this. I'm gonna keep this up. You all will be able to take notes, but don't forget that, right now we're just talking. It's not like we putting something up on the screen and stuff like that for us to break it down, even though we can. That's what we do. But it's more so like just having a conversation with you all. We could be talking about various different topics, whatever come to our mind. That's what this is about tonight. I just wanted basically to let y'all know that we together. You know what I'm saying? We riding for each other. We riding for y'all. We for the people. And that's what this is about. It's about coming together in unity and being on that right mindset to get that one common goal and you heard that common goal. Everybody had that same common goal. And y'all know y'all been subscribed to my channel for a while, and y'all know how I get to repeat myself, so I'm sure I don't have to do it. Y'all know what my common goal was about. Hold up, there go my wife. 1 second. My wife probably shutting me down. Yep, and she is shutting me down. I might have to put in my work as a husband. But at the same time, I'm glad I ain't had to do no cooking. And I'm probably, probably too late for that anyway. What time is it? Oh, it's 10 something. Okay. Yeah, man. So
that's cool. We ain't gonna shut it down. I'm pretty sure we gonna do this again.
Hell yeah, we gonna do it again. I mean, at least I wanted to get him in here so he could get his get that final. His cell phone. Send it to a cell phone. Text message to a cell phone. Cause I would at least want him to get a final word in before we could close out for show. And on a positive note, and yeah, cause he's standing by on his cell phone. I mean, for real, I should have just texted to him my damn self, but that social media phone be tripping sometimes. It kick in real late. It's not like, I don't know. It's not right and exact like how my other phones are. That other one, I might have to retire that phone. You said he got it?
No, I'm about to send it to him.
But yeah, I'm gonna let the brothers, get that final word in real quick before y'all, y'all step off. I know it's a little late, but I hope y'all was enjoying it. Hope some of y'all learned something new and some questions got answered. But keep in mind, this was all freestyle, and this is exactly what we do. Because we could, it's right on the top of our head, and most of the time we just need to get it out.
Oh, now he back.
He back? I bet. So let me. You can hear me?
I hear you, Dane.
All right, I'm gonna do it like this because it's getting late. My wife want me. Okay, you know what I gotta throw down. But
remember I told you earlier.
What's that?
But you gotta have your wife in your shield so you don't go too far with certain stuff.
But I still gotta, I gotta do the husband role too. You know what I'm saying? Like I gotta, the energy gotta pass on to each other. I ain't trying to get X-rated. I mean, you know where I'm coming from. You know what I'm saying? We grown here.
But that go back to fulfilling your duties as a man also require you to fulfill your duties as a husband.
You see what I'm saying?
One without being the other.
It's automatic.
Yeah.
It's automatic.
You gotta have the balance. She let you come and do your work and talk to the people. She let me and you and Top Cat show the people that we came for the same purpose. We just came from a different angle, and we all converge at the convergence so that we can bring the great awakening to the public.
Right. And I felt as though it was necessary. I really do feel as though it's necessary for them to see that we're all on, we're common, we're grounded. And I don't want to say, hold on, let me not say common ground. I don't like that word common. But
sacred
purposeful,
ground.
Sacred. There you go. I like that.
We're back on sacred ground because to us, this is the holy land. This is where all our ancestors were sleeping at. When they left their physical form, they left their physical frame on this sacred land. That's what makes it sacred to us.
I like that.
The Indigenous Rights Act say that we got a right to govern all tribal land, and guess what? All of it tribal land. So they said, well, DC ain't tribal land. In 2017, we staked a totem pole in DC to make sure they know that's tribal land too.
Yeah.
So
ain't nothing but Maryland and Virginia anyway.
Yep. That served an eviction on the imposters that was sitting in that enclave.
We got to kick them out.
A lot of us didn't see it when it happened, and we didn't know what was taking place when it did. Just like a lot of us didn't understand Sipico putting the Pope on notice in the public domain in front of everybody, and that his response was to rescind the discovery doctrine, and all of their laws and their systems is predicated up on that foundational document. When he rescinded discovery doctrine under the fruit of the poison tree,
everything got to go.
Everything that follows.
Everything got to go.
In law, it's called et al. And those things that follow. Et, period, al, A-L. Those things that follow. Everything that was built on the discovery doctrine was rescinded with the discovery doctrine. That's why it was made public. A lot of us didn't see when they shut down the Trail of Tears by walking it back to Atlanta to put Cop City in Atlanta on notice from the ceremonial Muskogee Creek Nation, which is the ones that don't look like us that work for us, to make sure that because our people was intimidated to do it. So we send the people in that felt like they had the power the whole time to do it on our behalf. And here we is 3 kings talking, waiting to see 3 kings walking to give a report to the people on the land. And with that, gain I yield. It's all yours.
I appreciate that, brother. I'm glad you're here, man. And we're gonna be doing this more often. And I want to get that last take, that final take. This ain't gonna be I hate to say that the final take, but the stuff like that. But because this ain't gonna be the last time, Topcats. Let me just hear for the people. Just say one more thing before we, get up out of here.
Oh man, shout out to everybody in the chat, man. Appreciate y'all coming through. This was a long time coming. Shout out to Uncle Rob because he really was adamant about putting this together. He had a vision and to see it play through, to see it play out and actually come through. And I remember last time I seen him, he told me, he said it's gonna happen in due time. And he was positive about it. And to see it come full circle, and the people, a lot of people, they tag him in their stories and everything, they down with it, and so, I know we ain't failed to disappoint y'all, man. Hopefully we can see y'all in the future in person, you know what I mean? And
man, what?
Talk. Yeah, I think that'll be a good look too, you feel me? Uncle Rob had his vision where he want to see us hold Mardi Gras, from coast to coast. You want to speak on that before we get out of here? And we can actually bring it together, man. But appreciate you, brother Dane. Appreciate you, Uncle Rob. And appreciate y'all, you feel me? And also appreciate the ancestors, you know what I mean? Because just like everybody else, heart is warmed out with this here. I'm pretty sure they're just too. Because wherever we gather, we best believe that they there with us, man. In the real way. Appreciate y'all tonight.
Absolutely.
For sure, man. So the National Mardi Gras has already been announced as the 250-year independence celebration. It was announced by Donald Trump, and also was announced was the World Fair. At the upcoming 2025 World Fair is where the technology that's been kept from us to keep us struggling and suffering will be released to the public for the first time since they overthrew the deep state. So all of this new technology that we confiscated from those secret societies like the Lazarus Project, they're just trying to find eternal life. They found ways to extend the health by taking the sarcophagus and reverse engineering it and building a modern machine called a healing chamber. And a med bed is based on the Tibetan technology for frequency healing of the cells of the body. All this is ancient technology that's been reworked with a modern twist in order for us to be able to extend our lives and to live a better quality of life. And that's what the whole process that we're going through is about, because everybody should have an equal right to live their best life. And this is what you see us here. This is what the root to our fight is. It's called the righteous fight of the righteous in order to redeem a righteous land for a righteous people. That's our cause, purpose, and underlying agenda to raise the matriarchy in order to restore the original tribal structure across the land so that we can be of most assistance to the most people. Thank you.
Man, I got so excited I knocked my whole rest of my coffee all over my goddamn keyboard. I hope it ain't pressed no buttons. But I appreciate that. Hold on, as I clean this coffee up. God damn it, I ain't mean to do that. I'm gonna go ahead. That's a great way to close as far as what the brother just got finished saying. I appreciate both of y'all for joining me and having this great evening with the family. We're gonna be doing this again. It's not gonna be it's the first, but it's not gonna be the last. And I definitely want to come out like Topcat said. Y'all know me. I want to come out and do it in person. Maybe we could set some things up. Regardless, we are doing some things behind the scenes where you're going to be seeing us on your screen. And, it could be in the movie theaters, but just as long as you down for the ride on the roller coaster when we go up. And then when we go up, roller coasters usually go down and then back up. And I hope you're there to scream. I'm just messing with you. I ain't going to be doing no freestyle. I'm messing with y'all. Let me get up out of here. Y'all take care. I'll probably see y'all. Well, we gonna be rooting for Kyrie on Sunday. So I know it's probably not going to be Sunday. We probably going to follow up probably that Tuesday. I got something to do that Monday. And if not that Tuesday, then Wednesday. Regardless, I'm going to let y'all know. If y'all can't do me a favor, drop some BCUs in the chat right now. Let's get it hype. Drop some Ra Hayes in the chat right now.
Get some of them gorillas in the chat, man. Get them apes, the sick ape in the building.
Put some apes. Apes in the, oh yeah, that's right. He did, yeah, I like, yeah. Matter of fact, so apes in the building, jaguars in the building. Do it, go ahead. We could do it right now.
Set it on fire.
Let's get it. Put them turtles in there. You could put the bow and arrows in there. You know what I'm saying?
This was everybody.
Powerful.
Feathers up.
This was powerful.
And historical. We don't even know the significance of this today. But in 10 years, we're going to say this was a monumental meeting of the chiefs on the land.
I say less than that. We got stuff we got to do. And more people waking up. I see right now it peaked over a little past 3,000 based off of what I see right here. So that's cool. It was late night, you know, and it was sporadic. Y'all wasn't warned, but I'm sure the rest of y'all will catch up probably tomorrow to watch this. I'm not sure if I'm going to have this joint chopped up where y'all get to see it by timestamp. We'll see. You know, because I know we didn't touch on a whole bunch of stuff. I don't know how much rather y'all hear it all the way through. Don't skip no parts. But next time, y'all probably going to get a warning. Y'all probably going to be alerted next time.
Hey, Dane, and I didn't use a whole bunch of profanity as usual.
Nah, you didn't, but I think I'm going to still get hit for a couple of things. I ain't going to lie. A lot of pedos was coming through. YouTube be pressed on my channel, man.
I already know.
But, I mean, it's all good. As long as it stay up, I can care less, man.
Yeah, you know, you got to remember, your channel is directed to waking up the people that they don't want woke.
Yeah. Yep.
And now that they didn't put us together, this is like a terror. This is a horror movie for the system.
Well, I mean, you know, I'd much rather be Michael Myers. Matter of fact, we could do it like that. We could go Michael Myers, Jason. Should we say Freddy Krueger? I mean, I don't look at Freddy Krueger as scary, though. Like, I look at Freddy Krueger as, like, funny. I'm trying to think of, what's another one?
Candyman, goddamn.
Candyman, yeah. Yeah, because Freddy Krueger, you know, I mean, he could be, you know, but he funny, man. Like, I can't take him serious, man. But yeah, Candyman. Man, hell yeah. Or we could do the Kobe, Jordan, LeBron. We could, I mean, however y'all want to do it, regardless, y'all see that it's Dane Calloway, legendary Top Cats, Ra Hayes. I'm glad this happened. This was beautiful. Y'all have a great evening. Three the hard way. Y'all have a great evening. I'm going to catch up with I appreciate all the donations, y'all. But y'all, my wife is on me. I got to handle that. I'm going to be shouting y'all out the very next live stream. I promise you that. But all the donations and all the cash apps, I love y'all. Thank y'all so much for all of the support. But I know I'll be a whole nother 10, 15 minutes. I got action to handle. And that's PG. But I'm gonna set it on fire. I'm gonna drop a bomb for all of y'all. Y'all take care. Wado.
Wado.
I'm just here to make you think.
Slow down. Yeah.